Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Good morning, everybody. As we all know by now, a series of storms swept across the plains yesterday, and one of the most destructive tornadoes in history sliced through the towns of Newcastle and Moore, Oklahoma. In an instant, neighborhoods were destroyed. Dozens of people lost their lives. Many more were injured, and among the victims were young children trying to take shelter in the safest place they knew, their school. So our prayers are with the people of Oklahoma today.
All right. Welcome to the Steve Malzberg Show, everyone. That was President Obama earlier today telling everyone that the federal government is acting as quickly as possible to help the folks of Moore, Oklahoma. And, of course, the death toll now stands at 24 people confirmed dead, including 9 children. We had earlier reports late last night of 51 people dead and a couple of dozen children in 2 various schools, but those reports proved to be erroneous. Joining us now is our friend Joe Bastardi, chief forecaster at Weather Bell. Hello, Joe.
How you doing, Steve?
How are you? Last time we spoke, sir, it was about a blizzard here in the Northeast and then up in New England. And now we have something that is certainly much more deadly, which strikes with so much more speed and ferocity and is so hard to get out of the way of if you're not prepared to get out of the way of it. And that, of course, is the tornado that struck yesterday. They're calling it one of the worst, ever. Is that accurate?
Well, it's certainly going to be up there in the top 100. But if you look at the list of the top 10, no, it's not accurate. This country has had tornadoes that have killed well over 100 people. Nothing, let's just hope we never see anything like what happened in 1925.
Right, that was 695, Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana, correct?
Well, at least that.
Yeah.
Some people say over 1,000. I think that of all the events I've ever seen meteorologically, where I look at something and say, how could that possibly have happened? The 1938 hurricane on the eastern seaboard and the 1925 tri-state tornado, I look at those things and if it wasn't for the actual recorded history, I could not believe something like that would have happened, because for something to be on the ground for 180 miles and have multiple vortexes 2-3 miles wide, it pales in comparison. Now, the death toll with this, and when you talk like this, people think that I'm trying to minimize what happened. I'm not at all. I'm trying to put this in perspective so that the people, the rational people that are listening, understand where we are today. Okay, we have many, many, many more people living in Tornado Alley, just like we have many more people living on the beaches now, okay, than we did in 1950, 1955. That's the first thing. Second thing is, you have more urban sprawl today in the plains. I mean, Oklahoma City, when I was, I guess 7 or 8 years old, we went through Oklahoma City. My dad was a student in Texas A&M. We were going back and forth to New England. Oklahoma City then, what I remember then, and now are 2 different things. I mean, it's a huge sprawling area, and Moore is part of that Oklahoma City complex. And so what happens is you look at the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. There's several big cities within that Metroplex. So when you're talking about tornadoes now, what used to be something that may just have hit a few areas or be out in the middle of fields in a lot of cases, are now going through areas that are relatively densely populated. What this is showing, though, and this is a real something that people should understand, that the National Weather Service at NOAA has done such a fantastic job with upgrading those short-term warnings, where if a person gets 20 to 30 minutes of warning, 10 minutes of warning, as opposed to 1 or 2 minutes, it saves countless lives. Because if you look at the list of the tornado deaths, over 100, Waco, for instance, Lubbock, Shreveport, Louisiana, all these big tornado disasters were occurring back in the 50s and 60s and even back into the 40s. So if you have more people living in harm's way, but less people
right.
being killed, I mean,
the warning system is much better. Absolutely.
Much better.
Joe, tell people, because thank God I live here in the Northeast, and I've never been involved in a tornado. I mean, occasionally you'll hear about tornado warnings in our area.
Yeah, you might hear about them on Thursday. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there was some tornadic activity in the east on Thursday, though not to the extent you see out in the plains.
Right. Well, explain to the folks, who aren't familiar. I mean, they have trouble wrapping their arms around this and grasping. They see the pictures. We've been playing some pictures on the screen as you've been talking, and we see the aftermath, the devastation. But it's just hard to explain what a tornado a mile long or wide with winds over 200 miles an hour. Where does it come from, and how does it move along the ground? Just explain in layman's terms. Yeah.
What happens is you need a massive fight for a tornado to occur. Unlike a hurricane, which really is just trying to derive its energy, of course, is much larger and derives its energy from warm, moist sources. The tornado needs a clash between cold and warm, really, to get going. And we've had a very, very cold spring in the plains, so it shut the tornado season down completely. Now that warm, humid air is getting involved like it should, there's still enough cold air around to cause this type of clash. But what will happen is these cells that develop, there'll be a rapid inflow of warm, moist air into the cell. The cell will begin to rotate, and it's that feeding back, if you want to call it, where the energy starts focusing in one area. And as it does, it begins to spin and spin and spin, and it feeds back on itself, starts elevating itself up. You have the drier air over the top, and what happens is when moisture shoots into the drier air, it causes rapid cooling, because it's the same type of thing when you step out of a shower. You know how you're chilled?
Yeah.
It's because there's evaporation. So that increases the temperature gradient, which in turn increases the mechanism to produce the tornado. And then some things start coming along, local things. Like with this tornado, it got very, very bad when another cell, and you can see this plain as a nose in my face, came in from the southwest, intersected with the developing tornadic system, and that extra energy came in, spun it up, and made it do what it did for a while. So, and the very fact that this was heading eastward over ground, the frictional effects try to tear these things down once they get very, very strong. And that's why you'll see these situations where they literally jump, because a lot of times the frictional effects will cause that feedback mechanism to be interrupted. It tries to reorganize again, and then it goes on its way. So you'll see that with tornadoes. Tornadoes are, I call them bullwhips from the sky. Hurricanes are more like bulldozers. You can get out of the way of a bulldozer if you choose to do so.
Right.
A lot of people decide they're not to, and you can't help that. But these things are very, very difficult. Once you see that right in front of you, it's very difficult to just get completely out of the way. That's why I was complimenting the National Weather Service so much, in that when you get a 20, 30-minute warning like that, and
right.
these people are educated, they know what to do.
Life and death. Yep.
That's right.
Life and death.
So
we're talking meteorologist Joe Bastardi, chief forecaster at Weather Bell, here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Now, these folks there are not out of the woods, from what I'm hearing. The skies have been darkening there over Oklahoma.
No, more's not going to sit. No, they're in the cool air now.
Okay.
The temperature's 20 degrees below normal in Oklahoma City today. It's further south and east, where the clash is occurring down in northeast Texas into Arkansas, that is under the gun this afternoon, and then into the Ohio Valley during the day tomorrow, and then possibly to the East Coast after that. At Weather Bell, we've been talking about this for quite a while. In fact, last Sunday, our post was finally a tornado outbreak is coming, because this had all the classic setup. Look, these things, when you see a certain pattern, like this pattern from the upcoming hurricane season, favors a big hurricane season. You know why? Because if you've seen it before and it's similar, it's likely to happen again. So what happens is you look at the maps and you say, okay, I've seen that, and then you go back and examine those situations and say, bingo, I've seen that before, this is likely to happen. Not in the same spot, you can't really tell. But, with this situation in Moore, Oklahoma, last time, the 99 tornado, and I happen to know a guy that was in that tornado, that occurred during a cool May also, the 2008 season. A very cool May.
Well, wasn't this season pretty dormant for
Yeah,
tornadoes?
we were at record lows
Yeah.
because there was so much cold. Look, you need a fight. The reason why we had such a nasty season in 2011, it was brutally cold in the northern United States into Canada, got very warm in the southern part of the United States, so the fight zone actually stayed there. And if you think about it, it was further south than normal. It was into Alabama, and then it finally worked its way up later in the season, up into Missouri, of course, with Joplin, that type of situation. So you see that going on.
Let me just read you something real quick rather than play you. Barbara Boxer and most despicably Senator Whitehouse from Rhode Island.
Unbelievable.
He went to the floor of the Senate while this was happening, while kids were being trapped in their schools and being killed. He went there and blamed Republicans and global warming. Barbara Boxer basically echoed it, but let me just read you something. From Newsweek, April 28, 1975. There are ominous signs that the Earth's weather patterns have begun to change dramatically and that these changes may portend a drastic decline in food production with serious political implications for just about every nation. The drop in food output could begin quite soon, perhaps only 10 years from now. The region destined to feel the impact of the great wheat-producing lands of Canada, blah, blah, blah. The evidence in support of these predictions has now begun to accumulate so massively that meteorologists are hard-pressed to keep up with it. And then last April, in the most devastating outbreak of tornadoes ever recorded, 148 twisters killing more than 300 people and caused $500 million worth of damage in 13 states. And they point to that as evidence of the global cooling that's coming and is responsible for all this. That was back in 75.
Okay, well, what happens is this. Look, folks, the Pacific changed its cycle in the 1950s like it's doing now. There's what we call the warm Pacific Decadal Oscillation, cold. We were in a warm Pacific Decadal Oscillation in the 30s into the 40s. We switched it to 50s, 60s, and 70s. The Atlantic switched into its cold cycle in the 60s and 70s. We are currently in the 1950s part of that cycle. Heat and drought in the Central Plains, hurricanes on the East Coast, many tornadoes. You can look at the tornado graphs and see how many tornadoes there were going off, the big tornadoes in the 1950s. And that was even before we had all these detection methods we had now.
Right.
So what you were looking at is the tail end of that cold cycle. So what happened was the people were thinking then, well, this is going to continue, just like a lot of these people don't understand that with 1,000 times the heat capacity of the air, the oceans rule the climate, along with the sun, of course. The sun is the conductor of the orchestra. Then there's the ocean, what we call stochastic events like volcanoes. So what happens is these guys hooked the idea of the global increase in temperature up with the increase in CO2 and totally ignored the fact that it was a natural cyclical
But, Joe,
process.
they did it, and I think you'll agree, at least I believe they did it, to institute a carbon tax on all the world so they could make money, and it's a whole sham and a whole scam.
Let me just say this. I try to stay out of that, but yeah, you're right. But the situation with Senator Whitehouse, I was born in Rhode Island. My father's a meteorologist. I know the history of Rhode Island hurricanes like the back of my hand, 38, 44, 54, 1960, 76 with Bell, 85 with Gloria, 91 with Bob. This guy has been saying this stuff about hurricanes after Sandy. Now he's saying it about tornadoes. It seems to me that there is a new breed of climate fanatic that's developing. It's half parasite. It's a mutation, parasite and ambulance chaser. This is ridiculous. No, you know something? This is despicable. It's bad enough to say something like that, but when every single fact is against you, that global tornadoes global tropical activity has been decreasing, for instance, that we are in a cycle that you can see as plain as the nose in my face. And you know what the problem is I believe these people deep down inside know what's going on, but are trying to make their point.
I am with you, Joe. I am with you. Listen, I thank you, sir, as always. Thank you very much. Joe Bastardi, meteorologist, chief forecaster at Weather Bell. When we come back, a very heartwarming story from the tragedy, which you're going to want to see and hear right here on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
This is a referral service. Calls will be routed to an independent referral insurance agency. Do you know the number one cause of bankruptcy? No, it's not losing your job or running up credit card debt. It's not even divorce. It's medical costs. If you and your family don't have health insurance, just one serious illness or accident could be financially devastating. But now there's good news, really good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide health insurance for all Americans, even uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Now anyone can get health insurance even if you have a pre-existing medical condition. I repeat, now anyone can get health insurance coverage. Call now for a free no-obligation quote on affordable health plans available to you. Again, this is a free hotline for anyone, even if you have pre-existing conditions. Protect you and your family from sudden unexpected medical costs. Call the free health insurance hotline right now at 1-800-910-3470. That's 1-800-910-3470. Call 1-800-910-3470.
Attention hip implant patients. Are you in constant pain? Have you received a letter from your doctor about your implant? Have you had or need a revision surgery? Do you have high levels of metal, chromium, or cobalt in your blood? Over 90,000 hip implant devices have been recalled due to defects and failures resulting in revision or replacement surgery. If you have a recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920 to see if your implant is affected by the recalls. If you or a loved one has a defective or recalled hip implant, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-460-0920. That's 800-460-0920. Protect your legal rights today. Call 800-460-0920. This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
According to the FBI Uniform Crime Report, there are over 5,000 robberies every day. Your home could be at risk of being burglarized. Don't put your loved ones and valuables in jeopardy. For just over $1 per day, your home can be protected from break-ins, fire, and more. Get the latest home security technology from Protect Your Home, your ADT authorized dealer. Over 6 million households sleep better at night with ADT monitored home security. What's more, Protect Your Home is offering you their latest equipment, an $850 value, absolutely free for qualified customers. Protect your loved ones and home today. Call now for licenses and to find out more. The call is free, 1-800-949-8201. That's 1-800-949-8201. Again, 1-800-949-8201. $99 installation charge, 36-month monitoring agreement at $36.99 per month. Payment by credit card or electronic bank account charge. For new homeowner customers with satisfactory credit history only. Local permit fees may be required. Certain restrictions apply. Cannot be combined with any other offer.
Obamacare. President Obama's massive health care law is taking effect this year. With over 15,000 pages of regulations, few even know what it means. Now, the Obamacare Survival Guide by Nick Tate gives you the shocking facts about this law. It's a step-by-step guide on how you can protect yourself. Already the New York Times bestseller, every American needs to get the Obamacare Survival Guide and find out about the new taxes, hidden fees, fines, Medicare changes, business rules, and why doctor shortages are likely. Donald Trump says the Obamacare Survival Guide is a must-read for anyone worried about getting good health care for themselves or their employees. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's at bookstores or get our special offer at Obamacare911.com and you'll save $15. Go now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. In the midst of all this disaster and tragedy and horror and the death of these people, including the children, this story is very refreshing, very emotional. I want you to listen to it. It's a woman who was separated from her dog and then during an interview with CBS discovers the dog. And give a listen.
Barbara Garcia has been preparing for this day since she moved into the neighborhood 45 years ago.
I was sitting on the stool holding my dog. This was the game plan all through the years, to go in that little bathroom. And I felt the stool come up out of the floor. when it stopped, and I hollered for my little dog, and he didn't answer.
The dog.
Hi, puppy.
The dog.
Oh, help me.
Help Megan.
Oh, Bouncy. Oh. Well, I thought God just answered one prayer to let me be okay. He answered both of them. Because this was my second prayer.
All right. If you want to see that video again, or if you're listening on XM America's Talk Channel 244, and you want to see it for the first time, you go to newsmax.com, and you could see that video. That is just unbelievable. As someone who's a dog owner, I mean, to see that dog crawl out from under the rubble as she's walking by, that is amazing. Our thoughts and prayers with the people who are injured, who have lost loved ones, certainly little children, and the ones who are still looking for loved ones. They say the number of missing has decreased, but I don't know that we have a final tally yet. So we'll keep you posted on that a little bit later on. We will get a report from a Chris Cox, reporter at KTOK in Oklahoma City, who will give us the latest. That'll be at the top of the next hour. So stay where you are. When we come back, there are some new revelations regarding Benghazi. Pajama Media, PJM, is reporting that more whistleblowers are going to come forward shortly, and that the whistleblowers, colleagues of the former diplomats, are securing legal counsel. And according to those who say they know, the news is not going to be favorable to Hillary Rodham Clinton or to President Barack Hussein Obama. Let's just put it that way. So it's going to be interesting. When we come back, Caroline Glick will join us, Deputy Managing Editor, Jerusalem Post, Senior Middle East Fellow at the Center for Security Policy, to talk about Obama and his scandals and all that good stuff as the Steve Malzberg Show continues. Don't go away.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Meet Jim. Like many of us, Jim enjoys a busy life. Between work, family, and friends, his days zip along. And Jim has the energy to tackle almost anything. But lately, Jim's get up and go has literally taken on a new meaning. Jim's always put focus on a full night's sleep, but it seems like these days, he's up and down to go to the bathroom so many times he can barely wake up in the morning. His prostate concerns have him sad, tired, and worried. Activities that were once enjoyable now seem like a chore for Jim. His golf game is at the mercy of his bathroom schedule. Family outings are planned around it too. Jim even has difficulty going to the bathroom. He's tried so many prostate remedies he can't keep them straight, and nothing ever seems to help. Then Jim found out about Prostate Revive, the all-natural dietary supplement specifically formulated for men, targeted towards improving and sustaining normal prostate function. Prostate Revive includes 15 super ingredients never combined before, including saw palmetto extract, beta-cytosterol, pomegranate fruit extract, selenium, and other high-quality nutrients. These targeted and all-natural ingredients promote healthy urinary flow and optimal prostate health. And the best part is, Prostate Revive was developed by a renowned medical doctor. Dr. David Brownstein personally formulated Prostate Revive with one goal in mind: to promote a healthy prostate gland. Thanks to Prostate Revive, Jim's got his life back. He gets a full night's sleep every night, and his friends and his wife can't believe he's the same guy. He has his old energy back, and no one has to wait for him. He doesn't even think about his prostate concerns anymore. Visit MedicSelect.com to take back your nights and improve your quality of life with Prostate Revive.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names.
Really?
They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call or go online to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-908-1254, 800-908-1254.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, The Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price by going now to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
Are you tired of the insanity in talk radio? Well, there's a new voice during the afternoon. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are in the process of trying to get a hold of Caroline Glick here on the Steve Malzberg Show. She wrote a piece which is called Obama and the Official Truth. And she goes after, well, she starts by talking about the man who's sitting in a federal prison in Texas since his arrest. It was right after the video and Benghazi. This man who made the video that the administration originally blamed on the problems with Benghazi and the whole the murderous rampage in Benghazi. He made a video, and he was out on parole, and he violated some aspects of his parole. This is usually a slap on the wrist, a court appearance, a scolding, a warning, a fine, whatever. They've locked him up in jail. He's in jail. He's still in jail. Nicola Baselli, and he's been sitting in that prison in Texas for violating terms of his parole. Now, she goes through a litany of these kinds of things where the Obama administration will target their enemies, and as we've seen from the revelations of the IRS scandal and the AP scandal and the Fox News James Rosen scandal, and now we have more. Cheryl Atkinson of CBS News says her computer has been hacked. She says it happened around the time that she was reporting on Fast and Furious. She has no evidence yet. There's an ongoing investigation into who took her records, who was hacking into her. But Cheryl Atkinson is now another one. And I go back to what Eric Holder said on NPR that we were the first to play for you the day of his hearing last week. That struck me, and it struck me for good reason, as it's proving out, is he was asked, you know, how rare is this? Have you ever done this to any other reporters when talking about what they did to the AP? And Holder said, I've gotten several requests, and some I turned down. I don't remember how many I signed off on. So that was the story. Huge. That there were other reporters, other news organizations that had come under this same scrutiny, the same unprecedented, outrageous scrutiny and seizure of records and intrusiveness that the AP had suffered. Yet nobody blinked an eye about that except me. And since then, we found out about James Rosen, who was called a co-conspirator. And from what Jay Carney was saying yesterday, that case is still under some kind of investigation. Let me let you hear from Carney on this. This is from the White House press briefing yesterday. And he was asked about the case involving James Rosen and State Department leaks that go back to North Korea's story, and that he was working on. And they targeted him. They traced his swipes of where he went with his swipe cards, his security clearance cards to the State Department, phone records, etc. And this would be 18. This would be Jay Carney from yesterday. The first question on the James Rosen case, cut 18.
I will refer you to what the President said in response to a question about another matter along these lines, and that is that he is a strong defender of the First Amendment and a firm believer in the need for the press to be able to conduct investigative reporting and facilitate a free flow of information. He is also, as a citizen and as Commander-in-Chief, insistent that we protect our secrets, that we protect classified information, and that leaks, that we take very seriously the leaks of classified information, because leaks can endanger the lives of men and women in uniform and other Americans serving overseas for our country. And that is a balance he seeks.
Oh, isn't that nice? That is a balance he seeks. I'm so tired of hearing this guy up there just yakking away with the same old talking points. The media shield law, the president values freedom of the press. So did Hugo Chavez, you know? Hugo Chavez loved freedom of the press as long as the free press praised him. No one was allowed not to praise him. So he loved the press. He valued the press. He worshiped the press because there was no press. And that's where we're headed in this country if this is allowed to continue. Now, let's get further into this. He's asked more about this, and here's cut number 19.
I cannot, of course, comment on a specific ongoing criminal investigation.
Jay, do you approve those kind of tactics as
Again,
a former reporter?
I cannot comment on a specific ongoing investigation. I certainly share, and I think most Americans do, the President's belief that we need to have a press that is able to pursue investigative journalism, and that we have to defend the First Amendment. I also think it's very important, as I think members of both parties have said, that we need to make sure that leaks are not tolerated, because leaks that can endanger the lives of our men and women and endanger our national security need to be taken very seriously. But that is, again, not a comment on a specific case, because I cannot comment on a specific case.
All right. Ongoing criminal investigation? I don't even know what that means. Does this mean James Rosen is still classified as a possible or as a co-conspirator in this leak case for doing his job? Now, again, you have to understand, folks, I'm for national security as much as the next guy, maybe more. And I understand restrictions, and I understand exceptions, and I understand exemptions. But in this case, for instance, okay, what's usually done is they'd go to James Rosen, as they've done to reporters in the past. That's why some reporters have gone to jail. And they say to James Rosen, hey, you're talking to somebody. We need to know who you're talking to. Let's make a deal. You know, and then he could say no, and then they could subpoena his. No one ever talked, as far as we know, to James Rosen. They consider him a co-conspirator in what? A co-conspirator in some kind of leak investigation because he is doing his job? What is he supposed to say to the person who's leaked him this information or wants to leak him this information, or is a good reporter he went to ask if they would leak him information? He's supposed to say, oh, no, I don't want to hear it. Nah, I don't want to hear it. Because why? Because why? Now, in the case of the New York Times, again, the New York Times was asked, according to everything we know, don't run this report yet. And the New York Times agreed. They held off. They did not run the report when they originally were going to run the report. Yet, it still led to the seizing of records unbeknownst to them, their reporters, their switchboard operator, out of control. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand what we're dealing with here. A threat to our very freedoms. And this isn't the first time we've seen it. This president has flung his nose or flipped his nose or whatever the heck I'm trying to say in the face of the Constitution, which he considers to be an impediment. What's standing in the way of Barack Obama's transforming America into this wonderful place, which it's not, is the Constitution. That's right. And the fact that you need 60 votes in the Senate very often. He calls it, what does he call it, gimmickry? Yeah, gimmickry. Constitution's probably another gimmick. He's called it a flawed document. You think he has love for the Constitution? 2 courts now. 2. And by the way, I've reported on this. Others have, but not everybody has. I told you that last week for the second time, a second federal court has called Barack Obama's so-called recess appointments to the NLRB unconstitutional. He doesn't care? You think he cares? You think he cares that he's putting reporters on as co-conspirators? You think he cares that the IRS is targeting everybody that disagrees with him? I mean, all the groups that have been targeted disagree with him. Not everybody disagrees with him. No, not only doesn't he care, but he doesn't know about it. You see, he knows nothing. Hear no, see no, speak no. Maybe that's what we should call him. President hear no, speak no, see no. No. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. President hear no, see no, speak no. That's pretty good, actually. I like that. If I could learn to say it in the same order every time. Now, our friends Ken Shepard at Newsbusters says, imagine that in a week in which George W. Bush was dogged by not 1 or 2 but 3 scandals, one of which was the IRS singling out liberal groups for scrutiny, a federal appeals court invalidated a recess appointment that George Bush had made, finding he improperly ran an end run around the U.S. Senate. The national media would no doubt pick up on the story as evidence that the president was abusing power, weaving the development into a larger narrative about the president's untrustworthiness in light of the aforementioned scandals. But folks, when the Third Circuit Court of Appeals issued their ruling invalidating an Obama recess appointment, guess what? Guess what? The networks, for the most part, ignored it. The May 16th Broadcast Network evening newscast and the May 17th broadcast news shows completely ignored the ruling. Completely ignored the ruling. They have to, because it's building now to a crescendo, and we haven't seen anything yet. Let's get back to Mr. Carney. This is cut number 20.
The subpoena says James Rosen is a potential criminal because he's a reporter. Is the White House comfortable with that standard, never before seen, in a leak investigation?
Again, Major, I understand the question and I appreciate it, but I cannot comment on an ongoing...
That's not ongoing. That happened. That's in a subpoena. You can read it on the web right now.
Well, I know, but it's part of an ongoing criminal investigation, Major, and I simply can't comment on it. But if you look at the story, I think that others are commenting...
regard a reporter in a subpoena as a potential criminal for doing what reporters do?
Major, I understand the question. I think that the appropriate place to address these questions is to the Department of Justice and to those actually engaged in this criminal investigation. I think if you look at the story, there are people who are talking about it, and I would refer you to them.
But that's Major Garrett, by the way, who asked the question. Never happened before, unprecedented. He's a criminal in the eyes of the subpoena for doing his job as a reporter. No one ever went to him and tried to gain information from him or make a deal or could reveal his source or ask him or threaten him with jailing or anything. No, they put him down. They secretly, followed him and his records and his comings and goings and his phones and his computers. Apparently, that's how the Obama Justice Department works. Now, in this one, Eric Holder has not recused himself. Not at least as far as we know. Of course, he never makes a written record of anything he does, apparently. He just does it. And then later on, he'll tell us he did it. So who the heck knows what this guy did? It is, folks, you think there's been a lot of media coverage? Now, I know we got the tornado, and that's got all the media coverage. But you think there's been a lot of media coverage of this? If this was George W. Bush, there'd be impeachment proceedings underway already, and it would come at the urging and suggestion of the media. Okay? I'm not saying it's time to try to impeach Barack Obama, but I'm saying we are losing our freedoms. We have been losing our freedoms. Whether it's the health care law and the clause on contraception, and not allowing people who are conscientious objectors to object based on their religion. We are going down a slope here from which there will be no return. And all the people on the left are silent. All the phonies on the left are silent. Let's go one more here. to Jake Carney cut 21.
Has prioritized leak investigations in ways no other commander-in-chief has. It's his priority that the Justice Department is carrying out.
I think the president, like his predecessors, believes that
particular application
the
of his priority.
The president believes, I think as all of his predecessors believed, that it is imperative that leaks that can jeopardize the lives of American men and women serving overseas should not be tolerated, and that leaks that can jeopardize our national security are very serious matters. And I would point you to what the FBI director, Director Mueller, and the Attorney General have said about the seriousness of one of these leaks. Director Mueller testified that, quote, leaks such as this threaten ongoing operations, put at risk the lives of sources, make it much more difficult to recruit sources, and damage our relationships with our foreign partners. That is why we have to take these seriously. It is also why we need to find the right balance to ensure that our First Amendment is defended and to ensure that reporters are protected.
He's full of baloney, because the whole premise of the question from Major Garrett, as he's trying to interject again, is this is unprecedented. These issues of national security and journalists and sources and leaks have come up before. And as Major Garrett said in that question, if you could hear him without Carney overspeaking him, he said that this is a priority and a policy of this administration because it has never happened from previous presidents. So to make it sound like, oh, all previous presidents wanted to protect national security, yeah, and they did. And they did it without naming reporters as co-conspirators for doing their job. This Justice Department is out of control. It's been out of control for several years. Eric Holder's more interested in protecting the rights of terrorists than he is protecting your rights or my rights or journalists' rights. He's cavalier. He's arrogant. He doesn't know. He doesn't care. He scolds. And the president? Oh, the president. He doesn't know anything. Why should he? Why should he know anything? He's just the president. He's either the most detached and out of touch and incompetent man ever to hold the office, or he needs to be held directly responsible for everything that's going on. We're coming back on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Are you at least 62 years old like me? Could you use an extra $50,000, $100,000 or more to live a better life? Then please consider the benefits a reverse mortgage can provide to you. With a reverse mortgage, you can have your mortgage payments stopped altogether and get equity out of your home to live on. And you can use the money to help you live a better life. How nice would that be, not to have a mortgage payment? Qualifying for a reverse mortgage is simple, since there are no income, asset, employment, or credit requirements. However, you must be 62 years or older, own your home outright, or have a very low balance on the mortgage, and be prepared to live in it throughout the rest of the loan. Call now for more information.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Do you owe the IRS? Do you have unfiled tax returns? Have you received a wage garnishment or bank levy? Maybe a lien has been filed against you. OMG Tax can help you with all your IRS tax problems. Don't wait another second. Take action now. Call my team at OMG Tax. Honest and professional, we don't make false promises. If you owe back taxes, or if the IRS is garnishing your paycheck, you need help now. OMG Tax can help you get your life back to normal. If you're serious about handling your tax matter, call OMG Tax now and get the peace of mind you deserve. Don't let the IRS take your next paycheck. Stop waiting and call our team at OMG Tax. OMG Tax has a straightforward, no-nonsense approach and has helped many Americans resolve their IRS nightmare. Call OMG Tax now.
Call 1-800-255-6485. That's 1-800-255-6485. 800-255-6485.
A tragic fire, a break-in, a fall. Look, accidents and emergencies really do happen. The difference between life and death could be as simple as the push of a button. That's where Medical Guardian comes in. Are you afraid that something tragic may happen with no one around to help? What if you or your elderly loved one had a fall and lay for hours or even days before any help arrived? What if it was just too late? You don't have to live in fear that something terrible could happen. It's time you discovered Medical Guardian. Life-saving help at the push of a button. Get the peace of mind you need for yourself and your loved ones. Call 800-550-3470 right now. Be one of the first 100 callers and get your first month of Medical Guardian free. 800-550-3470. Call now and get your first month for free. The help you need is at your fingertips. Ensure your safety today with Medical Guardian. 800-550-3470. That's 800-550-3470.
It's a fact. You can make thousands of dollars flipping houses. Discover the secret house flipping formula from Dave and Pete, the stars of A&E's #1 hit show Flipping Boston, for free.
Hi, it's Pete and Dave. We're giving you our flipping formula for free. It's what we use to find the right house, flip it fast, and get paid.
It's time to stop just talking about flipping houses and start doing it. Now is one of the best times in history. USA Today reported that you can make thousands of dollars in profit flipping houses.
In New York City, the average profit was over $118 grand. Omaha, it's over $71,000. Lake Havasu, Arizona, the profit per flip was $87,000.
And we're going to show you how we do it for free. Stop dreaming. The houses are there. The opportunity will never be better. And for a limited time, the flipping formula is free.
Call now, 800-643-6931 for your free Flipping Formula Strategy Guide DVDs. Just pay processing. That's 800-643-6931. 800-643-6931.
3 a.m. and you're up again for the third time. It's not just affecting your sleep, it's interrupting your daily life. Frequent trips to the bathroom due to an aging prostate is a common concern, but you can now do something about it with Prostate Revive. Doctor-formulated Prostate Revive is an all-natural dietary supplement packed with 15 powerful ingredients, focused on improving prostate health by targeting the two main sources of prostate concerns, rogue testosterone and inflammation. And now, in this limited time radio offer, you can try Prostate Revive absolutely free. That's a free bottle, a 30-day supply of Prostate Revive, risk-free. Plus, if you call right now, you'll also receive our free report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. Call now for details on getting your free bottle, plus our doctor's report. Call 1-800-659-REVIVE. That's 1-800-659-REVIVE. Don't be a victim of an aging prostate. Start getting the sleep you need and get your life back with Prostate Revive. Claim your risk-free bottle now at 1-800-659-REVIVE.
Microphones hot. Satellite link established. Studio lights illuminated. Cameras rolling. Audio and video encoders firing ones and zeros. Internet stream is streaming. The most technology advanced radio show is on the air. Here's the captain of this enterprise, Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've just gotten word that as soon as I could get this story up, which I can't, top IRS officials are going to take the fifth. We'll have more on that. Chad, if you're out there, if you want to print up Breaking on Drudge, the story on the IRS officials taking the fifth. Let me tell you a little story in the meantime. The quote-unquote charity, and this is from the Daily Caller, the charity run by President Obama's half-brother that was fast-tracked by the IRS, given tax-exempt status, is based at a Virginia UPS store. How do you like that? I'm shocked. Not only that, this according to its website. The organization's IRS filings list another Virginia address that is actually a drug rehab center, where the foundation does not appear to ever have been based. The Barack H. Obama Foundation is run by Aboingo Roy Malik Obama, the half-brother of one President Barack Obama. There's a story breaking on Drudge, Chad. Story breaking on Drudge, if we could get it printed up. Okay, here we go. As first reported by the Daily Caller, the foundation was speedily approved for IRS exemption by Lois Lerner. No relation to Lois Lane. The IRS senior official at the center of the targeting, thank you, of conservative organizations. Some have waited over 2 years, of course, we know. The charity was even given retroactive tax-exempt status despite never having bothered to apply for it. That's kind of like Eric Holder going to the FALN terrorists under the Clinton Justice Department and saying, don't you want to get out of jail, even though none of them ever applied for clemency. Kind of the same thing in my book. Anyway, the charity is given retroactive status, and its history of soliciting donations before receiving tax-exempt status was apparently overlooked. The address listed on the site the site BarackObamaFoundation.org is 107 Southwest Street, number 104, Alexandria, which is a UPS store. Blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, it never stops. Now, here's the story from the LA Times. A top IRS official in the division that reviews nonprofit groups will invoke the Fifth Amendment and refuse to answer questions before a House committee investigating the agency's improper screening of conservative groups. You know who this is? Lois, no relation to Lois Lane, Lerner. The aforementioned Lois Lerner, the head of the Exempt Organizations Division, the head, not a low-level skunk down in Cincinnati, somebody who just was following or, came up with this idea on their own and have been reprimanded. The head of the Tax-Exempt Organizations Division of the IRS will not answer questions about what she knew about the improper screening, why she didn't reveal it to Congress, according to a letter from her defense lawyer, William Taylor III. Lerner was scheduled to appear before the House Oversight Committee tomorrow. She's not committed any crime or made any misrepresentation, but under the circumstances, she has no choice but to take this course, according to the letter obtained by the Los Angeles Times. So she won't answer questions. The lawyer asked that she be excused from appearing, saying that it would have no purpose other than to embarrass or burden her. Oh, I'd keep her there for hours and make her say, I take the Fifth. I don't want to incriminate myself. Under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution, I hereby refuse to answer on the grounds that I refuse to incriminate. I want to hear that over and over and over and over. And I predicted that these people in the IRS would eventually take the Fifth. I predicted it from the day I knew they'd be testifying. Unreal. You think we've seen the last of this? You haven't seen the beginning. We're coming back.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
If your prostate is giving you problems and your doc says it's just part of getting older, be wary. Renowned physician and author Dr. David Brownstein thinks this is baloney. He's discovered a link between aging and prostate health and believes prostate concerns do not have to be an inevitable part of aging. That's why he created Prostate Revive.
Hi, I'm Dr. David Brownstein. I personally formulated Prostate Revive to include the most essential natural ingredients available to help promote a healthy prostate gland and optimal urinary function.
The producers of Dr. Brownstein's Prostate Revive are so thrilled with the positive feedback from satisfied customers that for a limited time, they are willing to send you your first month's supply free. Plus, call now and you'll also receive Dr. Brownstein's special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. For details on getting your free bottle, call 1-800-596-REVIVE. That's 1-800-596-REVIVE. Take control with Prostate Revive. Call now while supplies last to claim your risk-free bottle at 1-800-596-REVIVE.
This is the worst weather we've seen in quite some time, folks, and I don't see any end in sight. People have been calling in from across the state complaining their basements are flooding. One guy said he now has an indoor swimming pool in his basement. I told him he needs the waterproofing innovations from Basement Systems. If you want a dry basement or crawl space that will weather any kind of storm, you need the patented solutions from Basement Systems. You've seen them on home makeover shows throughout the country. With a lifetime warranty, every solution is custom designed for your basement. You can finally have that room you've always wanted with our total basement finishing system. Call now for a free estimate, and you'll never have to worry about storms like these again.
Call now for your free basement inspection at 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794. Learn how to waterproof your basement now. Call this number, 800-516-9794, 800-516-9794.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman in Oklahoma. Emergency and rescue crews have been working around the clock ever since that massive 2-mile-wide tornado basically wiped parts of that state off the map. Much of the nation's attention has been focused on a couple of schools that were in the brutal storm's path. The medical examiner says the bodies of at least 20 children have been pulled from the rubble. And the overall death toll from this storm is expected to climb throughout the day. Meteorologists say the tornado had wind speeds as high as 200 miles per hour, making it an EF4 storm. This part of the country is known as Tornado Alley, but even those who have seen bad storms before, even first responders who have helped with other rescue and recovery efforts after violent storms, say this is much worse than anything they could have imagined.
Well, in 18 years, including the May 3rd, 1999 tornado, I've never seen anything like this.
And a wave of support is also coming from Washington. Last night, President Obama signed a disaster declaration, and today he told storm victims that the nation is behind them. Also, House Speaker John Boehner got emotional as he offered up support for Oklahoma and Republican Congressman Tom Cole, whose hometown was leveled in this storm.
Last night, I issued a disaster declaration to expedite those resources to support the governor's team in the immediate response and to offer direct assistance to folks who have suffered loss.
Especially our colleague Tom Cole. Moore, Oklahoma is his hometown, so obviously he's there. And so I've ordered the flags this morning to be lowered to half-staff in honor of those who have suffered through this terrible storm.
And of course, there have been a lot of tears shed last night and today, but there have been some stories of hope already rising from the destruction. And one of those includes a woman who was talking with a reporter after the storm. The woman said her first prayer had been answered. She survived the wind and flying debris while her house was ripped apart with her inside. But as she was being interviewed, another prayer was answered. Take a listen.
Well, I thought God just answered one prayer to let me be okay. He answered both of them.
And hope remains for more miracles today. Now, next up on your Newsmax Now update, we'll have more on these deadly tornadoes that leveled parts of Oklahoma yesterday, including the latest from Governor Mary Fallin. Plus, the IRS scandal still brewing in Washington. What did top White House aides know that they didn't tell President Obama? An exclusive Newsmax interview with Congresswoman Lynn Jenkins next.
Drug, alcohol, and gambling addiction can be devastating for you and your loved ones. Don't let the disease of addiction ruin everything you've worked so hard for. The Treatment Helpline has helped thousands of people just like you take control of their addictions and live healthier, cleaner, and happier lives. You are not alone. Now there's hope. The Treatment Helpline has helped people just like you overcome their addiction. If you or a loved one is suffering from a drug, alcohol, or gambling addiction, let us help you today. Call 1-800-813-821. Our seasoned addiction treatment professionals can show you how to use your private health insurance to help cover the costs of this life-changing program. Call now and get a free confidential consultation. 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821. Help is only a phone call away. Call 1-800-813-9821. That's 1-800-813-9821.
What is Lignet? Lignet is knowledge. Lignet is power. Lignet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is Lignet? Lignet is confidential. Lignet is sensitive. Lignet is security. What is Lignet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on Lignet.com. You've been briefed.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, all while you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, investments, and home's value. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer, who was the only expert to predict the recession, has released a startling video with shocking evidence that the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Watch it at AftershockVideo.com. AftershockVideo.com.
Welcome back. We continue to get updates as crews stay with the search and rescue and recovery efforts out in Oklahoma. Not long ago, we heard from Governor Mary Fallin. Here's what she had to say.
There are so many different areas of the city that have been destroyed. The tornado itself was very, very wide. It just wiped out miles of areas and homes and businesses. It's probably the worst I've ever seen.
Meanwhile, more information continues to drip out in this IRS scandal. And again this week, the House is set to hold more hearings to investigate who knew what and what did they tell the president. Yesterday, we talked with Congresswoman Lynn Jenkins, who's on the House Ways and Means Committee. During an exclusive interview, she told us that Republicans are vigorously investigating the matter, but they are also being careful not to overreach.
So we need to take the next step, and to continue to investigate. And, no one should get ahead of the facts.
And this has been your Newsmax Now update for May the 21st. I'm John Bachman. We'll leave you with more images from Oklahoma and the storm's aftermath. Stay with Newsmax.com for the latest on this story and more exclusive content. Now here's the Steve Malzberg Show in New York.
Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Steve Malzberg Show. And, of course, the search and rescue, the cleanup, it all continues in Moore, Oklahoma. And we are joined right now by Chris Cox, reporter at KTOK in Oklahoma City. And, Chris, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it. Okay. Chris, you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. Thank you. Yeah, I hear you now. Thank you very much. The devastation that we're watching on television is unspeakable. It looks like a war zone. It looks like, just complete and utter devastation. And when you say only, I don't want this to be taken the wrong way, but when you look at that and you look at the intensity of the storm and the magnitude of it all, and the number is, 24 people perished, including those poor little children. But I guess, is it attributable to the advanced warning that so few, did actually die?
I think that has a lot to do with it. With our meteorologists here in Oklahoma City, they know exactly what to look for. So we were being warned, going back to probably last Friday, that a storm like what happened yesterday could be on its way. So most Oklahomans were, especially in this area, were prepared for it. Now, sometimes it's not good enough unless you can actually get underground. But they did the best that they could to warn everybody.
Talk about the erroneous reporting that we had last night. The death toll was put at over 50. We had reports of almost 24 children killed in 2 different schools. And this is something we've seen. In tragedy after tragedy, whether it's a shooting or a natural disaster, where the reporting turns out to be faulty, the early reporting turns out to be faulty. Thank God the numbers are less, and thank God the numbers relating to the children in the school were less. But how did that happen? What was that attributable to?
Well, they think it had to do with double reporting, different agencies saying the same person or the same group of people had perished. Also, some of that has to do with people who weren't found at the location where they were at when the tornado hit, but were later found at another location. So it's a mixture of a few things. I don't think it was anybody trying to purposefully put the death toll higher than what it actually is. I think it was just some miscommunications and just people, reporting what they were seeing, and then those numbers just kind of getting jumbled together. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. How does a community deal with something like this? I mean, back in '99, as you know better than I, it went through something very similar. Whether or not this one is worse or not, that could be judged on various levels. But it's 14 years separated, but it's another huge hit with more death and destruction and having to start over again for many people, some of whom had already started over again. How does a community, a town, come together and how do people persevere?
The town and Oklahoma as a whole is very good about coming together and helping out when need be. A bunch of the churches of all faiths from the area have opened up their doors as shelters and as donation centers. Some of the buildings that are still standing have opened up the doors. The University of Oklahoma, which is about 15 minutes south of Moore, the president of the University of Oklahoma opened up the dorm rooms and said, anybody who needs a place to sleep, you can come here. So it's a mixture of everybody knowing the tragedy, and a lot of people in this area knew somebody who in some way, shape, or form was affected by the tragedy, and so we all want to help in some way possible.
Is there expected to be more bodies found? Are there still a big number of people missing, or not?
Honestly, I'm not sure. Just my own personal opinion, I would guess the number will probably go up. They're still looking for people. I mean, the recovery just kind of got going yesterday before it got dark, and they had to bring out lights. So then they were focused on specific areas. So no telling what's going to come out, overnight tonight and into tomorrow morning.
Okay. Well, listen, I appreciate your update, Chris. Chris Cox, reporter at KTOK in Oklahoma City. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, do we have Caroline on the line? If not, we'll take a quick break. Okay, we'll take a quick break. Caroline Glick will join us from Jerusalem, and we'll talk about Obama and the scandals from her point of view and the Jerusalem perspective as the Steve Malzberg Show continues. Don't go away.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Guys, you've heard about Ageless Male, the natural supplement that helps boost testosterone levels within normal, healthy ranges. But now, the best testosterone product is even better. New and improved Ageless Male can help you feel more like you used to in your active life and in your romantic life. Because our upgraded formula has been clinically shown to increase your drive, desire, and performance. That's right, guys. Ageless Male has been clinically shown to boost performance. Cancel your plans this weekend. You're staying in. If you're ready to recapture the drive from your youth, now is the time to try Ageless Male because it's available risk-free. But you must call now. Just call 1-800-460-9790. Be the guy you used to be. Just call 1-800-460-9790. 1-800-460-9790. 1-800-460-9790.
If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction to alcohol or drugs, then you must listen to this message because there is hope. No matter what addiction you or your loved one is coping with, you are just one phone call away from real help. Recovery Hotline makes the healing process simple and affordable by matching people to fully certified and experienced inpatient facilities that are right for their personal situations. Call 800-668-1286 now. Don't wait another day. Money does not have to be an issue. Most insurance is accepted. Just call 800-668-1286 today. Recovery Hotline's mission is to help you or someone you love begin the healing process and get back a healthy and sober life. And we can even help with family interventions and travel arrangements. One phone call is all it takes to get back the life you or your loved one deserves. The call is free. The help is real. Call 800-668-1286. That's 800-668-1286. 800-668-1286. Again, 800-668-1286.
Hi, this is Dick Morris. Obamacare is taking full effect this year with over 15,000 pages of regulations. You need to know how this law affects you. That's why you should get your copy of Obamacare's Survival Guide. It's easy to read and the best guide to the new law. Even if you're currently insured or a senior on Medicare or a business owner, a medical professional, or really any citizen, you need the Obamacare Survival Guide. In it, you'll find about hidden taxes, fees, and fines, including a 40% tax on some health plans. I warned you about Obamacare. It's rationing, Medicare cuts, and will trigger doctor shortages. Now the Obamacare Survival Guide gives you the simple steps to protect your family. So get the Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. It's already a #1 Amazon bestseller. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 today by going to Obamacare911.com. Obamacare911.com. That's Obamacare911.com.
What is Lignet? Lignet is knowledge. Lignet is power. Lignet is global. Top-level officials, U.S. intelligence officers, national security advisors, foreign operatives, all reporting directly to you. What is Lignet? Lignet is confidential. Lignet is sensitive. Lignet is security. What is Lignet? They're the ones taking the world's pulse. If you're not in the know, you're not on Lignet.com. You've been briefed.
Obamacare. More than $1 trillion in new costs. Hidden taxes, fees, big Medicare cuts, doctor shortages. How can we survive?
To know Obamacare is to survive Obamacare. The Obamacare Survival Guide tells you everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere. Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
Are you tired of the insanity in talk radio? Well, there's a new voice during the afternoon. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We are joined right now by Caroline Glick, our friend, and Caroline Glick of the Jerusalem Post, and also, of course, Senior Middle East Fellow at the Center for Security Policy. Hey, Caroline, how are you?
I'm great, and I'm the director of the Israel Security Project at the David Horowitz Freedom Center in L.A. So,
excellent.
That's the other thing I do.
Okay,
I'm from
great.
Jerusalem.
Okay, well, you need a huge business card to fit all that. Maybe you use both sides.
Nah, I just don't carry them.
Okay, that's the easy way around it. Okay, well, listen, thank you for joining us as always. You wrote a great piece titled, I found it at CarolineGlick.com, and it's titled "Obama and the quote-unquote official truth." And, you know, I don't know if you've heard the latest. The latest in the scandal realm today is that Lois Lerner, the head of the Exempt Organizations Division of the IRS, she's going to take the fifth when she's supposed to testify tomorrow before Congress, which to me is not a surprise. But you say that, you know, all these scandals, Benghazi, the AP, and now the Rosen scandal at Fox News, as well as the AP, the IRS, all these scandals are, they don't stand on their own. They're all related. They all come together. Talk about that.
I really see a line that connects all of these different things, because what you see here is a modus operandi of an administration. And the modus operandi of this administration is to demonize and criminalize and delegitimize people who don't agree with them, and to block discussion and debate about the issues of the day by just going after anybody who presents information that is not does not align with the official narrative on every subject. And so they go after they hide what happened in Benghazi, because what happened in Benghazi is horrible for them, because it shows that the whole narrative that Al-Qaeda is a spent force is just a complete lie. And, you know, rather than actually acting as leaders should and defending and protecting the Americans that were being attacked in Benghazi, they pretended it wasn't happening, and they blamed some person who put a video up on internet in accordance with U.S. law and the U.S. Constitution. And they did that because they didn't like the fact that Benghazi showed that it was all a lie in the IRS scandal. You know, the most profound rebuke of Obama's domestic policies, whether it's in terms of nationalizing health care or expanding other social welfare programs or what have you, was the Tea Party. They're a revolutionary movement. And so how do you destroy them? Well, you demonize them. You call them teabaggers and racists and any other thing that you can think of, and violent. And then you make it so that they can't operate by intimidating their leaders through IRS audits and questionnaires that nobody gets. And it works. Because if you remember, in the 2012 election, the Tea Party was really a marginal force.
Yeah, absolutely. Their strength was in 2010.
And you go to the AP story, I mean, what did they discover? They discovered that the CIA had prevented another Al-Qaeda plot to blow up an airliner en route to the United States. And that, again, wrecks their whole narrative that Al-Qaeda is a spent force. It also wrecked their narrative that it made sense for them to side with the opponents of the long-standing President Saleh of Yemen, who was an ally of the United States in fighting Al-Qaeda in Yemen. and siding with those who opposed him who were aligned with al-Qaeda. And that's what Obama did and supported forcing Saleh to step aside and escape to Saudi Arabia on November 12th. So all of these things, just one after another, showed whether it's the Tea Party or it's Benghazi or it's the AP story on the Yemen plot of al-Qaeda, they all show the failure of Obama's agenda and the falsity of his narratives on every subject. And that's why the people who were doing it had to be punished, and they were.
And Caroline, you also mentioned that you're now director of the Israel Security Project at the David Horowitz Freedom Center, a nonprofit, and you talk about in your piece briefly that the Freedom Center was subjected to an IRS audit as well.
Yep, they were subjected to an audit. Commentary Magazine was subjected to an audit. Z Street, a new pro-Israel nonprofit that tried to get nonprofit status, applied for it in 2009. And were treated like the Tea Party movement, the Tea Party organizations throughout the United States. They're people and individual donors, of course, and activists just audited for no reason. And in all of these audits, they make people, they examine everything with a magnifying glass, and they come up with absolutely nothing. But in the meantime, in order to get through an audit, everybody knows you have to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on accountants and lawyers to protect you from the IRS, even though you're completely innocent, because that's what you have to do when you're being audited by the IRS. So, I mean, what it is it's an intimidating process that you undergo, and it costs a lot of money. And some people are intimidated into silence by it, as we saw with people who just said, never mind, it's not worth the hassle. I'm not going to apply for that nonprofit status, or I'm not going to write that article, or I'm not going to try to form a Tea Party movement because I have a family to support.
Yeah, and by the way, James Rosen, of course, of Fox News, has been named as a co-conspirator in a case because he was talking reportedly to someone who was leaking inside the State Department. His records were tampered with, and Cheryl Atkinson of CBS News revealed today that her computer had been infiltrated, and they're trying to find out who. But she said it was around the time that she was doing reporting and investigative work on the Fast and Furious scandal. You just wonder aloud how.
And it never ends. And poor Miss Atkinson, the president of CBS is the brother of Obama's deputy national security advisor. So, she's getting it from all directions, trying to go after the truth in her reporting. She gets it from her network, and then she gets it from the feds. It's very, very frightening.
It is. Do you believe that if this were the George W. Bush administration or any Republican administration, where would we be by now? Impeachment proceedings ready to start, or where would we be?
I don't know. All I know is that what really bothers me, I was watching, just flipping through the channels several weeks ago before any of this happened, and I saw a snippet of a biographical documentary on George H.W. Bush, and he was the head of the Republican National Committee during Watergate. And he was, right in the snippet that I saw, he was asked about at what point did he decide that he was going to turn his back on the president, because Nixon had really been hugely supportive of H.W. Bush's career. Appointed him to be ambassador to the United Nations, director of the Central Intelligence Agency, and RNC director in a cabinet-level position. And then H.W. Bush turned on him, and he said it was when he discovered the enemies list, and that he just couldn't, for all of the loyalty that he felt towards Nixon, he just thought that was just unacceptable and unconscionable. And I was thinking about that interview with him when all of this was going on, when all of this information was coming to light, from Benghazi to the IRS and AP and everything. And I thought, well, where is the head of the DNC? Is Debbie Wasserman Schultz going to turn on? Really? Doesn't she have any shame? Doesn't this bother her? And if not, how did we get to this situation where, you don't have politicians any longer who have any sense of propriety and shame if it's somebody in there, if it's a Democratic president and they're a Democrat, I mean, that's a horrible situation to be in. But you laugh at something that should have been taken for granted.
No, you're right. No, I laugh because I could not, if there was one person in this world that I could honestly say would never turn against her party or the president, it's Debbie Wasserman Schultz. I mean, she's been found to be a bald-faced liar by Anderson Cooper and I believe the L.A. Times. She made, and of course to the ambassador to Israel, she made up a quote that he called her a liar. So I mean, no way. And you're right. There's got to be people who, if the time comes, would be willing to say, Mr. President, it's over. We're far away from that point, but I can't think of anybody in the Democratic Party who would accept that leadership role and organize it and do it.
I mean, even just think about Senator Lieberman during the impeachment hearings on Clinton in the Lewinsky scandal and his perjury that he carried out. I mean, you had Senator Joe Lieberman who was standing up to the president and saying that this is just unacceptable behavior, and maybe it was because of that Al Gore chose him as his vice presidential candidate in 2000. But I don't see that happening anymore, and I think that the thing that's most dangerous is that people aren't even outraged by Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi and Debbie Wasserman Schultz and all of the rest of them for circling the wagons when this is something that the stench is just so odious.
Yeah. And just so you know, I'm sure you do, the PJ Media today is saying there are more whistleblowers on Benghazi that are coming forward.
Yeah, I saw that.
And it's not going to be good for Hillary or Barack Obama, and they're going to tell us exactly why the ambassador was in Benghazi. So it's all going to unravel one way or another. Caroline, thank you for staying up late with us. We appreciate it, and as always, thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
You too. Caroline Glick, ladies and gentlemen. Follow her at CarolineGlick.com. Former advisor to Benjamin Netanyahu, deputy managing editor of the Jerusalem Post, and we've been through it all. Senior Middle East fellow at the Center for Security Policy, and working with David Horowitz's Freedom Center in California. Okay, when we come back, we're going to discuss a whole lot with Dr. Jason Johnson, our friend, senior politics editor for Politic365.com. We're going to talk about the shameless exploitation of the tornado and the victims by Senator Whitehouse. Senator Whitehouse, it's like the guy from used to be on CBS News, Terry Drinkwater. Senator Whitehouse, Terry Drinkwater, are you thirsty? What do I know? Anyway, that and the scandals and the cover-ups when we come back on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price.
Scroll down now to claim your copy of Obamacare Survival Guide for the special internet offer of only $4.95.
Tired of calls, levies, and liens from the IRS, or hiring others who don't get the job done? Call Wall & Associates and you'll never talk to the IRS again. The IRS has a program to eliminate tax debt, and Wall & Associates professionals are trained to maximize its benefits for you. You always speak with a live person with real support and real knowledge. We've helped thousands of taxpayers like you settle their tax debt with the IRS for a fraction of what they owe. We solve tax problems. Call Wall & Associates now. 800-574-6029. We have the professionals who know how to solve tax problems. If you owe money to the IRS, your tax problems are not going away by themselves, and the passage of time will only make matters worse. Act now, before it's too late. Call Wall & Associates right now to speak to a professional tax relief agent. Call 800-574-6029. That's 800-574-6029. Again, 800-574-6029.
Here's today's silver shortage update from Lear Capital.
Reports keep coming, the shortage is growing. Twice already this year, the U.S. Mint has run out. Last time this happened, the silver price jumped 40%. It's time to take advantage with this special offer from Lear Capital.
For a limited time, buy 20 new silver polar bear coins and get one free. The only 1.5 ounce coin on the market. It's minted with the finest silver, carries a government guarantee, and is eligible for IRAs. The silver polar bear is available exclusively from Lear Capital. But don't wait. Silver supplies are shrinking and availability is not guaranteed. This offer is limited to a minimum purchase of $5,000. Call right now. 800-634-0482. 800-634-0482. Call Lear Capital now. 800-634-0482.
If you need to lose weight and would like to get paid for it, that's right, I said get paid to lose weight. Just listen to the following announcement. The makers of GCE Green Coffee Bean Weight Loss are looking for real testimonials from real people and will pay you per pound to meet or exceed your weight loss goal. Until now, the secrets of green coffee's fat-burning power has been limited, but thanks to Dr. Oz, the secret is out. And now, this authentic green coffee bean fat burner is available in easy-to-take tablets. There are no expensive meals to buy or strenuous workouts. Simply take one tablet before each meal and record your progress. Only the first 200 callers are guaranteed to be accepted into the program. So if you're serious about losing extra weight and want to earn extra cash for fitting into your skinny jeans again, call 800-383-9230 now. Call 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230. Space is limited, so hurry and secure your spot today. 800-383-9230. Some conditions apply. 800-383-9230. 800-383-9230.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show. No. This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
So, you may have a question for me. Why do you care? Why do you, Sheldon Whitehouse, Democrat of Rhode Island, care if we Republicans run off the climate cliff like a bunch of proverbial lemmings and disgrace ourselves? I'll tell you why. We're stuck in this together. We are stuck in this together. When cyclones tear up Oklahoma, and hurricanes swamp Alabama, and wildfires scorch Texas, you come to us, the rest of the country, for billions of dollars to recover. And the damage that your polluters and deniers are doing doesn't just hit Oklahoma and Alabama and Texas.
There he is, Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, ladies and gentlemen, from Rhode Island, a Democrat, wasting no time. I mean, this was quicker than Governor Cuomo in New York after Sandy. I mean, this was as the tornado was killing little children. He was on the floor of the Senate with a sign and a chart talking about deniers and how we're killing people and global warmings and Republicans. And wow. Joining us now to talk about that and so much more is Dr. Jason Johnson, our friend, senior politics editor for Politic365.com. Jason, Doctor, sir, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Good to talk to you as always. So what's your take on this? At least Barbara Boxer, who, by the way, got 3 Pinocchios today from the Washington Post on something else she was claiming. At least Barbara Boxer waited till today to blame Republicans and global warming for the tornado.
Every single time there is any tragedy, whether it is Sandy Hook, whether it's what's happening in Oklahoma, whether it's what happened in Boston, there will be someone who decides that they're going to use it in order to promote whatever particular political opinion that they have. That is not a condemnation of an entire party. It is not a condemnation of an entire political belief. Should Sheldon Whitehouse have been saying what he was saying when he said it? That's for the voters to decide in his particular state. But I don't think that's very different than what Wayne LaPierre was saying, after Boston, than what some Democrats have said after Sandy Hook, than what some Republicans said after 9/11. This is typical political rhetoric.
What did Republicans say after 9/11 that's comparable to what you're talking about here, what did Wayne LaPierre say after Boston? You always mix the bag. We're talking about Sheldon Whitehouse, and you can't even condemn him.
I'm talking about all politicians. Look, I don't necessarily think that
all politicians don't do that.
I'm not necessarily saying that what he said was appropriate or timely, but ultimately, is it causing anyone to die? No. Is it appropriate speech? Probably not, but that's not for us to decide. That is for the voters in his particular state to decide. And I do believe, just like Wayne LaPierre said, look, people in Boston when this was going on, I bet they wanted a gun and we got to protect. It's like, no, that doesn't
what has that got to do with anything?
What I'm saying,
how is that on a par with this?
There was a tragedy where people were killed by terrorists, and he wants to associate that with people having guns in their homes
to protect themselves. There was a manhunt. Of course, people would like to feel safe.
Having a gun.
He wasn't blaming. He wasn't blaming the Democratic Party for it.
The Democrats in the White House, if they had their way, none of these people would have been able to protect themselves. And what I was saying in that particular instance, just like with what we're talking about with Sheldon Whitehouse, you are attempting to conflate two issues that really aren't related to each other. That's all I'm suggesting.
No, I think there's a direct link, and there's no problem with saying that to people when they feel vulnerable and there's a manhunt for terrorists would like to have guns in their house to feel safe. I don't think that's a problem. He wasn't blaming anybody for death.
But it made it harder for the police.
No, he wasn't. Now you're getting way out of. He wasn't blaming anybody for the deaths in Boston. This idiot, this senator, was blaming Republicans and people who don't believe in global warming for the tornado.
Okay.
There's no comparison.
I actually think there is one, because what he was suggesting is that the White House and people who are gun control advocates wanted to see people harmed and not able to protect themselves because they did not want everyone to have access to guns. Right. That's what he was saying.
Well,
again, I don't think that's appropriate, but he's free to say that in front of the NRA because those are his supporters, his constituents, and Sheldon Whitehouse can say what he wants to say. Ultimately, as long as Sheldon Whitehouse isn't saying, I'm not going to vote for aid to Oklahoma, as long as he's not saying, I want to censure or kick people out of Congress who don't believe in global warming, it's just a politician opening his mouth. I don't really see it's worth that much outrage.
So you have no problem blaming Republicans and people who don't believe in global warming for the death of children in a schoolhouse in a tornado.
Sheldon Whitehouse
That's great.
expressing his opinion as a member of the Senate, because that's what members...
And I'm sure you said the same thing when the congressman made his comments on rape. I'm sure you said to the media and whenever you were on CNN or wherever, what are we talking about here? There's no big deal here. This is a guy expressing his opinion, right?
Because it was Aiken's right to say what he believed, and the voters got to decide.
No, the voters didn't get to decide. The media and the Democratic Party called the whole Republican convention, wait, in Tampa, a convention of people who hate women, who are rapists, who favor rape. In fact, some on the left wish that the hurricane would hit in Tampa because they all hated women.
What Democrats said that Republicans favor rape? What
Excuse me?
Democrats said that Republicans favor rape.
The Democratic Party and the media went nuts and defined the whole Republican Party by the comments of one congressman on rape. Now, you say when Sheldon Whitehouse says something, it's just his personal opinion. Well, you know what? The media agrees with you because they're not defining the Democratic Party by Sheldon Whitehouse. They only do that with Republicans.
That's not true.
No?
That's not true. And what Todd Aiken said, look, give me a break. You can't consider what Todd Aiken said to be in a vacuum because it also came after what Rush Limbaugh had said. It also came after what the other member of Congress had said.
All right, well, Barbara Boxer said what White House said. So there's no vacuum there either, sir.
What I'm suggesting is this. Ultimately, What happened to Todd
And they're
Aiken-
elected officials. They're not Rush Limbaugh. They're not me. They're
Voters
elected Democratic officials. They're senators.
This district ultimately made the decision that they didn't like what he had to
You
say.
can't.
My thing
You
is,
can't.
the
We're not
voters-
talking about. You're confusing the issue on purpose because you don't want to hone up and register in and say what this man did is despicable. What you're saying is he can say what he wants, and then if he loses election, then he has to suffer the consequences. That's not the issue. The issue is how despicable is what he said.
It's not despicable, just like what Todd Aiken said wasn't despicable. He had every right to have that opinion, and he faced the voters. And that, because I'm a patriot and I believe that ultimately it's the voters in the district who get to decide what is right and what is wrong to come out of their representatives, that's what I argue for.
You remember the media firestorm over Aiken? Seem to recall that?
It doesn't matter.
No. Oh, it matters 100%. It does matter. The double standard. Nobody in the media today has taken in the mainstream media has taken White House to task. Aiken was the story for weeks.
He was the story for weeks also because he didn't back down because his own party wanted him out.
Excuse me. He did back down. He apologized. What do you mean he didn't back down?
He didn't apologize until he thought that he was going to lose the election.
Oh, come on.
And again, the larger issue is this. Sheldon Whitehouse can say whatever it is he wants. If Sheldon Whitehouse doesn't want to vote to send aid to Oklahoma, then I have a problem. If anybody doesn't want to send aid to Oklahoma because they think Tom Coburn isn't, aggressive enough on global warming, then we have a problem because you're making other American citizens suffer because they don't agree with you ideologically.
Okay,
but
let's
say what he wants, it doesn't matter.
Let's move on. We're talking to Dr. Jason Johnson, senior politics editor for Politic365.com. Right here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Last week when we talked, the scandals were brewing, but now we have Lois Lerner going to take the fifth tomorrow in the IRS scandal. We find out that people in the White House knew about this investigation. Treasury Department knew about this last April. This has been going on for years. That's the IRS. We found out about another two reporters now. We have James Rosen, who is classified as a co-conspirator in a criminal investigation by this Justice Department. We now have the CBS reporter, whose name now escapes me. I was talking to her about 10 minutes ago. Cheryl Atkinson, she now says that her computer was hacked when she started reporting on Fast and Furious. So that goes on and on and on. Benghazi, we now have more whistleblowers coming forward who say that they have things to say, according to a report in PJ Media, and it's not going to be good for Hillary or for Obama. And here's what the White House's answer was on Sunday. This will be cut 8. This is what the White House had to say. Dan Pfeiffer, the man that the White House chose to send out on all 5 shows, and here's what he said.
Was he in the Situation Room? He was kept up to date throughout the day. Do you not know whether he was in the Situation Room? I don't remember what room the president was in on that night. That's a largely irrelevant fact. The assertions from Republicans here that somehow that the president allowed this to happen or didn't take action is offensive.
And the question isn't who edited what talking points. That's largely irrelevant.
What does the president believe? Does the president believe that would be illegal?
I can't speak to the law. The law here, the law is irrelevant.
The law is irrelevant. The fact that the president was in the Situation Room during Benghazi is irrelevant, and the question is offensive. Who changed the talking points is irrelevant. This is the man. That's what the president sent out and wanted him to say. Right. It's in your face, America. I don't have to answer. I'm not sending my chief of staff out. Even Bob Schieffer asked him, with all due respect, Mr. Pfeiffer, what are you doing here? Where's someone else higher in the administration? And this president obviously loved those answers because it's 2-3 days later, hasn't come out and said, oh, we apologize for what Dan Pfeiffer said. So it's in your face, America. You ask a question, we're offended. You want to know where the president was, it's irrelevant. The law in the IRS case, that's irrelevant. That's your presidential spokesman right there. How do you like that one?
Well, to be honest with you, I don't feel any different than I did when we spoke about this last week. If you want to line up every single president who's tried to cover up when they screwed something up foreign policy-wise, we can go back pretty far. And as far as I'm concerned, whether you talk about the issue that concerns me the most is the issue about the AP reporters and the issue about the Fox News reporter. But here's my concern about that, and this runs beyond Obama. My concern about that is all of this is now legal because of the Patriot Act and because of policies that we as American citizens have been accepting for the last 10 to 12 years.
Oh, this is Bush's fault.
No.
Oh, why didn't I think of that?
I said.
Gee, I knew the IRS scandal was Bush's fault because he appointed the head of the IRS who was in charge of that. But I didn't know this was Bush's fault.
Start to investigate what Republicans are doing has been going on for 10 years. I didn't mention his name.
Oh, I see. So, but do you understand that no president, including Bush, no administration or Justice Department, including Gonzales or any of the Bush attorney generals, has ever done what this administration, excuse me?
The people who outed a CIA agent by giving information to Bob Novak, let's not pretend that other people's hands aren't bloody when it comes to abusing reporters. I think regardless of the administration,
I'm telling you that no other administration or Justice Department has ever considered a reporter doing his job as a co-conspirator. Usually, as Alberto Gonzales said, and has been the history, and as Major Garrett has said, they go to, wait, Jason, they go to reporters. They go to the AP. They say, can we have this? Could we have that? Here, and they negotiate. And if they can't reach a deal, then they get a subpoena. What's happened here and what Eric Holder has admitted to doing is doing this multiple times. We don't even know who else he did it to besides Rosen, the AP, and possibly Cheryl Atkinson. So, I mean, to say that, and you know what? We had the Patriot Act for many, many years under Bush and the Justice Department under Bush, and they never did what this administration is doing. Never.
And Valerie Plame got out in the... Look,
what are you talking about? Valerie Plame wasn't a CIA agent.
I am not saying that what the Obama administration is doing is good. I'm not saying that he shouldn't be criticized for it. What I'm saying is, if we want to actually be realistic, and we want to actually take a look at the idea of freedom of the press, then we need to hold this president and this Congress, both Republicans and Democrats, accountable to return some of the civil liberties that we've lost over the last 12 years.
They were never abused by the Bush people. They're being abused by these people.
The Bush administration sent the IRS after the NAACP. There's not one scandal that you've got going on right now with Barack Obama that we didn't see with Clinton. That we didn't see with Carter.
What do you mean he sent them after the end? I know that the Kennedys sent the IRS and anything else they could after King, the Camelot family. RFK despised Martin Luther King Jr. But what do you mean he sent them after the NAACP? What do you mean?
They put the NAACP through a 2-year audit, which was unprecedented. No one had ever done that before, in large part because the NAACP was part of larger lawsuits against the Bush administration about unfairness in the 2000 election. They did that.
Okay, and that was shown to be what? That was shown to be vindictive. That was shown to be what?
It was shown that all the investigations and all the IRS audits that there was no inappropriate behavior going on.
All right. I will put my faith in the Bush administration for having reason to do it. You're citing one example, and I'll give you 500. I'll give you people taking the fifth. I'll give you people taking the fifth.
What has the NAACP ever done that would warrant?
I don't know enough about the specifics of that case, Doctor. That's not the point. That's not the point. People get audited, and there's legitimate audits. But when you admit that you're targeting conservative groups and enemies of the president who criticize the president and report on the president,
it's all wrong. It's all wrong.
Oh, it is, but it's no big deal.
No, like I said, he's got 53% approval, so apparently the American people aren't that concerned. They're not that concerned.
That's great. Oh, they're concerned. Wait till they start seeing people take the fifth, and the media doesn't have a tornado to report on, and they cover this. You're going to see
150,000 people getting new jobs every month. No one's going to.
Oh yeah. Oh, the economy's really turned around, and the millions that have dropped out of the workforce, and the millions more on food stamps under Obama. They're real happy, Jason. They're loving it.
53% approval rating.
According to one poll. You know what they also want to see in that poll? They also want to see, if you read the whole poll of CNN, they also want to see investigations into Benghazi and everything else going on. So don't say they're happy they don't care. They do care.
60% say that the Republican Party is only investigating this to score political points.
Right, because this happens all the time. Right.
So again, the public doesn't believe that the Republicans are really all that concerned. And I said this before, it's very simple. Unless you actually believe that Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton wanted foreign service people to die, there is no story.
No story. No. They told the truth to the American people. It was the video, Jason. It was the video. Why'd they lie, Jason? Why did they lie, Jason? Why did they lie?
They all lie.
Oh, they all lie. All right. You know what, Jason? We got to be a little more critical and critical in our thinking and our thought and holding people responsible. They all lie is going to wind us up like Hugo Chavez in Venezuela, and you'll sit there and pat Obama on the back every step of the way. Hey, it's okay. Nobody cares. The economy's doing good. Keep it up. Yeah, that'll be real good.
Voters, which is what happened last year.
Right. It was all about the voters. Right.
By voters if they care about it next year. But ultimately, what this boils down to is this. Unless you believe that Barack Obama actually wanted people to die, if you believe that this was an issue
Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton lied to us. We don't know why they lied to us. We don't know why Stevens was in Benghazi. We don't. Hey, why? Oh, Jason.
They lied.
Why was security denied? Why was security denied to the dead ambassador? Why?
Obama lied and Hillary Clinton lied because of
why, Jason? Why was an ambassador who requested security and is now dead denied that security?
Because there are half a dozen ambassadors around the world who wanted additional security at the exact same time, and they didn't get it either.
Okay, that's a great reason.
And why did George Bush say that there were weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and there were none?
George Bush didn't say it, my friend. The entire world's intelligence communities all said it. On that note, I got to go.
Bush and Tony Blair.
Right, Jason did it. Dr. Jason Johnson, Senior Politics Editor, Politics365.com. I thank you, as always, my friend. All right, folks. You see, you always learn something on this show. George Bush is responsible for the Justice Department abusing their power now. George Bush was worse than Barack Obama. He investigated the IRS on the NAACP, so there's no scandal here. And Obama didn't want anybody to die, so whatever he did and whyever he lied, who cares? Because 100,000 people a month are getting jobs. The liberal mindset and Bush derangement syndrome on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
If your prostate is giving you problems and your doc says it's just part of getting older, be wary. Renowned physician and author Dr. David Brownstein thinks this is baloney. He's discovered a link between aging and prostate health and believes prostate concerns do not have to be an inevitable part of aging. That's why he created Prostate Revive.
Hi, I'm Dr. David Brownstein. I personally formulated Prostate Revive to include the most essential natural ingredients available to help promote a healthy prostate gland and optimal urinary function.
The producers of Dr. Brownstein's Prostate Revive are so thrilled with the positive feedback from satisfied customers that for a limited time, they are willing to send you your first month's supply free. Plus, call now and you'll also receive Dr. Brownstein's special report, A Doctor's Guide to a Healthy Prostate. For details on getting your free bottle, call 1-800-596-REVIVE. That's 1-800-596-REVIVE. Take control with Prostate Revive. Call now while supplies last to claim your risk-free bottle at 1-800-596-REVIVE.
My patients still don't know what Obamacare means for them. And how could they? There are already 13,000 pages of regulations, and the bureaucrats are just getting started. Obamacare will change your health care, and you need to understand how. There are hidden taxes and fines, big cuts in Medicare, even new regulations on what services doctors can offer you. Some businesses could get hit with a 40% additional tax on your health care plan. Please, get the Obamacare Survival Guide today. It's the best book explaining the new law. It's easy to read, everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere.
Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
Newsmax Magazine is proud to present a special tribute to our 40th president, Ronald Reagan. It's a very special documentary and commemorative issue of Newsmax Magazine celebrating the centennial of President Reagan's birth. First, here's a video clip from the award-winning documentary, Rendezvous with Destiny.
We're in the midst of a springtime of hope for America.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
impulses of an evil empire.
Tear down this wall.
I believe that together we can keep this rendezvous with destiny.
In the next several minutes, you will learn things about President Ronald Reagan that you've never seen, heard, or read before. Welcome to today's special Newsmax event celebrating the life and legacy of President Reagan. During this historic presentation, we will commemorate President Reagan's storied life. We'll revisit his 2 terms in office and recollect his proudest achievements and greatest challenges. Ronald Reagan's life reads like a fairy tale of success stories. He was an accomplished athlete, an honored veteran, a famous actor, the governor of California, and of course, our nation's 40th president.
He called himself a citizen politician and only entered politics when he warned government was gaining too much power. By then he was age 54, with a successful career behind him. Twice elected President of the United States, Ronald Wilson Reagan was a contradiction to some. Once a Democrat, then a Republican. A champion of smaller government whose own government grew. A fiscal conservative who failed to balance the budget. His critics mistook his affability for weakness, but behind the smile and the charm existed an extraordinary leader with unique skills and bold and revolutionary ideas.
We only had time to share just a few of the top defining moments in Ronald Reagan's presidency, but you'll get to see them all in Rendezvous with Destiny. By the way, the president's close relationship with the Pope is especially fascinating. You'll also learn how dealing with an alcoholic father helped shape Reagan's ability to negotiate. And if you ever wondered what the leader of the free world likes to get for the holidays, well, you'll find that out as well. So let's review today. In this free offer, we are sending you a copy of Ronald Reagan, Rendezvous with Destiny, and the collector's limited edition of our issue commemorating the 100th anniversary of President Reagan's birth.
Right now, when you subscribe to Newsmax Magazine, you can own both the DVD and receive the special Reagan 100th Birthday Commemorative Edition. That's $25 in bonus gifts when you subscribe. Go to newsmax.com/Reagan13 to subscribe today. Join the millions who read Newsmax Magazine every month.
Microphones hot. Satellite link established. Studio lights illuminated. Cameras rolling. Audio and video encoders firing ones and zeros. Internet stream is streaming. The most technology advanced radio show is on the air. Here's the captain of this enterprise, Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Raymond Zarek, the keyboard person for the great legendary rock group The Doors, has died. He was 74 years old. He died Monday. And let's take out this hour with a little bit of The Doors, if we can do that right now, ladies and gentlemen.
Know that it would be untrue. Know that I would be a liar if I was to say to you.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
My patients still don't know what Obamacare means for them. And how could they? There are already 13,000 pages of regulations, and the bureaucrats are just getting started. Obamacare will change your health care, and you need to understand how. There are hidden taxes and fines, big cuts in Medicare, even new regulations on what services doctors can offer you. Some businesses could get hit with a 40% additional tax on your health care plan. Please, get the Obamacare Survival Guide today. It's the best book explaining the new law. It's easy to read, everything you need to know to protect yourself, your family, your business. The Obamacare Survival Guide at bookstores everywhere.
Special internet-only offer right now at Obamacare911.com.
Obama wants your money, and he's determined to get it. He wants your money to buy off unions, his Wall Street cronies, and to expand the Obama welfare nation. Well, Swiss America is determined to stop him from stealing your money. They want to send you an award-winning film, I Want Your Money, on DVD that exposes his plan. It'll help keep the government's hands off your money using gold, silver, and other hard asset strategies to protect your hard-earned money. Call today and request the DVD I Want Your Money, normally $19.95, yours absolutely free. Let Swiss America show you how to use gold, silver, and other hard assets to protect your hard-earned money. Call now. 800-978-3907. 800-978-3907. Call Swiss America right now. Learn all about investing in gold. 800-978-3907. That's 800-978-3907. Call right now. Health insurance is on everybody's mind right now. You either don't have it or you have it.
Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Now update. I'm John Bachman in Oklahoma. Emergency and rescue crews have been working around the clock ever since that massive 2-mile-wide tornado basically wiped parts of that state off the map. Much of the nation's attention has been focused on a couple of schools that were in the brutal storm's path. The medical examiner says the bodies of at least 20 children have been pulled from the rubble. And the overall death toll from this storm is expected to climb throughout the day. Meteorologists say the tornado had wind speeds as high as 200 miles per hour, making it an EF4 storm. This part of the country is known as Tornado Alley, but even those who have seen bad storms before, even first responders who have helped with other rescue and recovery efforts after violent storms, say this is much worse than anything they could have imagined.
Well, in 18 years, including the May 3rd, 1999 tornado, I've never seen anything like this.
And a wave of support is also coming from Washington. Last night, President Obama signed a disaster declaration, and today he told storm victims that the nation is behind them. Also, House Speaker John Boehner got emotional as he offered up support for Oklahoma and Republican Congressman Tom Cole, whose hometown was leveled in this storm.
Last night, I issued a disaster declaration to expedite those resources to support the governor's team in the immediate response and to offer direct assistance to folks who have suffered loss.
Especially our colleague Tom Cole. Moore, Oklahoma is his hometown, so obviously he's there. And so I've ordered the flags this morning to be lowered to half-staff in honor of those who suffered through this terrible storm.
And of course, there have been a lot of tears shed last night and today, but there have been some stories of hope already rising from the destruction. And one of those includes a woman who was talking with a reporter after the storm. The woman said her first prayer had been answered. She survived the wind and flying debris while her house was ripped apart with her inside. But as she was being interviewed, another prayer was answered. Take a listen.
Well, I thought God just answered one prayer to let me be okay. He answered both of them.
And hope remains for more miracles today. Now, next up on your Newsmax Now update, we'll have more on these deadly tornadoes that leveled parts of Oklahoma yesterday, including the latest from Governor Mary Fallin. Plus, the IRS scandal still brewing in Washington. What did top White House aides know that they didn't tell President Obama? An exclusive Newsmax interview with Congresswoman Lynn Jenkins next.
Do you owe the IRS? Do you have unfiled tax returns? Have you received a wage garnishment or bank levy? Maybe a lien has been filed against you. OMG Tax can help you with all your IRS tax problems. Don't wait another second. Take action now. Call my team at OMG Tax. Honest and professional, we don't make false promises. If you owe back taxes or if the IRS is garnishing your paycheck, you need help now. OMG Tax can help you get your life back to normal. If you're serious about handling your tax matter, call OMG Tax now and get the peace of mind you deserve. Don't let the IRS take your next paycheck. Stop waiting and call our team at OMG Tax. OMG Tax has a straightforward, no-nonsense approach and has helped many Americans resolve their IRS nightmare. Call OMG Tax now.
Call 1-800-255-6485. That's 1-800-255-6485. 800-255-6485.
If you are successful at what you do, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a business owner, or you have a great career, you understand the concept of protecting yourself. Well, are you protecting yourself, your family, and your assets with quality term life insurance? Consider these possible rates. A man age 45, non-tobacco user could obtain $1 million of coverage for as little as $75 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 10 years. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. A man age 50, non-tobacco user may be able to obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $115 a month. And this rate is fixed for the next 20 years. We have great rates for smokers too. Call the Term Lifeline now. 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309, 800-430-1309.
Welcome back. We continue to get updates as crews stay with the search and rescue and recovery efforts out in Oklahoma. Not long ago, we heard from Governor Mary Fallin. Here's what she had to say.
There are so many different areas of the city that have been destroyed. The tornado itself was very, very wide. It just wiped out miles of areas and homes and businesses. It's probably the worst I've ever seen.
Meanwhile, more information continues to drip out in this IRS scandal. And again this week, the House is set to hold more hearings to investigate who knew what and what did they tell the president. Yesterday, we talked with Congresswoman Lynn Jenkins, who's on the House Ways and Means Committee. During an exclusive interview, she told us that Republicans are vigorously investigating the matter, but they are also being careful not to overreach.
So we need to take the next step, and to continue to investigate. And, no one should get ahead of the facts.
And this has been your Newsmax Now update for May the 21st. I'm John Bachman. We'll leave you with more images from Oklahoma and the storm's aftermath. Stay with Newsmax.com for the latest on this story and more exclusive content. Now here's the Steve Malzberg Show in New York.
Are you ready?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live from the Newsmax studios, this is the Steve Malzberg Show. Be a part of the action by calling 855-777-9660. That's 855-777-9660. Or email Steve at malzbergshow@newsmax.com. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. In just a few minutes, we're going to be joined by our buddy Bill Gertz, Newsmax contributor. Just wrote a great piece on Newsmax talking about how he has learned that the president is about to institute unilateral cuts to our nuclear arsenal, our strategic nuclear arsenal, and cut as much as 50%. I'm sorry, 33%, down from about 1,500 to 1,000 or so of those weapons, which many in the defense field and on the Republican side feel is way too little. We're not getting anything in return for this. So we'll talk about Bill Gertz, to Bill Gertz about that, senior editor, Washington Free Beacon, a Washington Times columnist, and a Newsmax contributor. I want to just address something, the reaction, the exploitation of the tragedy in Oklahoma. Liz Winstead is the I think executive producer on Comedy Central of the of Jon Stewart's show, and she tweeted out a tweet that that basically said that the tornadoes in Oklahoma, it must have been ordered against conservatives, which was tasteless and foolish and ridiculous and outrageous. She then backtracked and said, made a political joke, 'twas before devastation revealed. In hindsight, had I understood, I would have refrained beyond sorry. I don't really have a problem with that. She thought she was being funny. I mean, how could a tornado not do any damage? And so she's saying, oh, well, now Republicans are going to say that Obama sent the tornado there because Oklahoma's a conservative state. That's what she was trying to say. Not funny, but I accept the apology, okay? But there's no apology from Senator Whitehouse. There's no apology from Barbara Boxer, who was at it today, again, blaming global warming and climate change and Republicans and all that stuff. And Barbara Boxer, as I mentioned, she's claimed, among others, that Republicans, because they voted a cut in security for embassies, had something to do with the death of our ambassador in Benghazi. Well, our friend Glenn Kessler from the Washington Post gave her 3 Pinocchios today on that claim. So take it for what it's worth, what she has to say. Again, where's the apology from White House? Where's the apology from Boxer for viciously exploiting the deaths of these children and others in this tornado? And at least Liz Winstead had the decency to realize she said something wrong and took it back. But it was outrageous. When we come back, Bill Gertz joins us right here on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hello, my name is Fred Fleitz, and I'm the managing editor of LigNet. You've probably seen our name preceding some of the stories you read on Newsmax or heard LigNet referenced on Fox News, C-SPAN, or CNN. Perhaps you've asked yourself, what is LigNet? LigNet is an acronym for the Langley Intelligence Group Network, a private Washington, D.C. based service that provides global intelligence, in-depth analysis, and detailed forecasting. LigNet staff and advisors include former CIA officers, national security experts, presidential advisors, and top-level government officials from around the world. I myself held several national security posts for the U.S. government during my 25-year career with the Central Intelligence Agency, the Defense Intelligence Agency, the U.S. Department of State, and the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. Our lead advisor is General Michael Hayden, the former director of the CIA. He is joined by former U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations John Bolton and former chairman of the National Intelligence Council and Special Assistant to President Ronald Reagan Fritz Ehrmann, former U.S. Ambassador to Venezuela Otto Reich, and former clandestine service officer Frederick Russman. Former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee Peter Hoekstra also join our advisory board staff. Every day our goal is to use our expertise, our resources, and our worldwide staff to take the pulse of the ever-changing political and economic landscape and the threats we face on a daily basis. Whether you are following global events for your portfolio or business, or just interested in the world around you, LigNet provides what you need to know to keep up with global events. There are many. Every day, LigNet members receive the Morning Brief, a daily email that provides summaries and links to our daily analysis to keep you up to date on LigNet's assessments. LigNet members receive unrestricted access to LigNet's secure database of global analysis. All of our special reports, previous analyses, and exclusive video interviews with intelligence insiders are available to members 24 hours a day. But you also get top-notch analysis that resembles the President's Daily Brief, the classified intelligence assessment delivered to the President of the United States every morning. LigNet also sends breaking news emails to our membership list. If there is a development of global proportions or a terror alert, our subscribers are always the first to know. I hope you now have a better understanding of what LigNet is, but more importantly, recognize how truly invaluable LigNet can be. As the old saying goes, knowledge is power.
Join LigNet for $1. Go to lignet.com.
It's a fact. You can make thousands of dollars flipping houses. Discover the secret house flipping formula from Dave and Pete, the stars of A&E's #1 hit show, Flipping Boston, for free.
Hi, it's Pete and Dave. We're giving you our flipping formula for free. It's what we use to find the right house, flip it fast, and get paid.
It's time to stop just talking about flipping houses and start doing it. Now is one of the best times in history. USA Today reported that you can make thousands of dollars in profit flipping houses.
In New York City, the average profit was over $118 grand. Omaha, it's over $71,000. Lake Havasu, Arizona, the profit per flip was $87,000.
And we're going to show you how we do it for free. Stop dreaming. The houses are there. The opportunity will never be better. And for a limited time, the flipping formula is free.
Call now, 800-643-6931 for your free Flipping Formula Strategy Guide DVDs. Just pay processing. That's 800-643-6931. 800-643-6931.
Are you tired of the insanity in talk radio?
Well, there's a new voice during the afternoon. This is the Steve Malzberg Show.
And welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. Ladies and gentlemen, as if you didn't have enough trouble keeping up with everything going on and the scandals and a president who knows nothing about anything and has never told anything, well, it looks like we're not being told too much, and we won't be told too much until this actually occurs. President Obama is set to announce a new round of strategic nuclear warhead reductions, which will put us down to as few as 1,000 weapons. And if you recall, Barack Obama, in my opinion, Barack Obama would like to see us unilaterally disarm. I think he stated that in a thesis that we hear about, but we never really got to read. Joining us now is a man who broke the story, writing a great piece for Newsmax, is Bill Gertz, our friend, senior editor at Washington Free Beacon and a Washington Times columnist. And hello, Bill. How are you?
Hi, Steve. Good to be on the program.
Well, thank you. Always great to talk to you. So, here we go again. Barack Obama, with his brand of what he considers to be foreign policy, putting the security of our country at risk, according to many. Talk about what he's going to do.
Well, yeah, this is fairly alarming in the sense that back in 2010, when the Senate was debating the New START arms reduction treaty with Russia, there was a big debate over what about the U.S. nuclear arsenal. It's aging, it needs to be upgraded, and so the president told the Republicans in the Senate, yeah, okay, you go along with this treaty, and I'll commit $50 billion over 10 years to modernize the arsenal. Well, guess what? He hasn't followed through on that. Additionally, he's getting ready to make additional cuts from the 1,550 mandated under the New START treaty to as low as 1,000. And this could happen. This was actually supposed to be announced around the time of the State of the Union, but the unfortunate political fact was that the North Koreans lit off their third underground nuclear test, and it wouldn't look too good that we're cutting our arsenal further as you have other nations building up theirs, namely North Korea and Iran. The second important element of this story that I did on Newsmax was the fact that the Russians are engaged in a fairly significant strategic nuclear forces buildup, including a number of new missiles, including missiles that are designed to defeat U.S. missile defenses, a new bomber, a new submarine launch missile. You got to ask yourself, what's going on here? The U.S. is living in Obama's, quote, postmodern world, and the Russians seem to be moving back into the Soviet period.
Yeah, absolutely, and not to mention China, and not to mention Iran, and not to mention their proxies in South America. I addressed a little bit of this yesterday, but first of all, before we get to what people are saying about this, former generals and strategic experts. To take away, to diminish our arsenal by 1/3, how does he get to do that circumventing the Congress?
Well, first of all, he hasn't announced it yet, so we don't know.
Right, but so we're playing under that premise here, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to happen. The idea is that this is going to be done in connection with the Russians. However, there have been statements by White House officials within the last 6 months or so that have even used the word unilateral reductions. In other words, it's not likely the Russians are going to go along with a new round of cuts. And the Obama administration, because they've been given this mandate back in 2009 from the president to, quote, eliminate all nuclear weapons, they're ready to do unilateral cuts, which the strategic experts, military and defense officials say this is a really bad idea. General Keller, the Strategic Command commander, has said, look, the arsenal we have now is about the size that we need to maintain deterrence. If you're going to do deterrence, that is, if you're going to deter other nuclear states from even contemplating a nuclear strike on your country, you have to have an arsenal, has to be modernized, it has to be effective, and it has to be a real credible threat to those nuclear powers. And yet, we're in a situation now between sequester and the failure to fund modernization where that deterrent is being called into question by a number of defense experts.
We're talking to Bill Gertz, who broke this story at Newsmax that the president is set to announce major U.S. nuclear force cuts soon in our nuclear arsenal. And he's also, of course, senior editor at Washington Free Beacon and a Washington Times columnist. And we're here on the Steve Malzberg Show. You know, to me, there's not only do you need what you just laid out to you know, protect the country and to deter any attack from any other country like Russia or China or anybody. You know, you got to have the deterrent in effect like we did during the Cold War. But you also have to have a president, I would think, that's willing to use it and makes it known. I believe that this president has never stated. And when asked, just tiptoed around the question, if we were attacked by a country with a nuclear weapon, would he retaliate in kind? And I don't think he's ever given a definitive answer.
No, he has not. And the closest he has come to not following through on his idea of completely eliminating our nuclear deterrent is by saying, well, we can't eliminate all of our nuclear weapons until all the world eliminates its nuclear weapons. But he's never discussed the concept that you have a state like Russia fairly significantly modernizing its nuclear arsenal, and then China, which is also engaged in a massive buildup of strategic nuclear forces and refuses to enter any negotiations, as we've done with the Russians and previously with the Soviets. So as I spoke to one senior U.S. official involved in strategic nuclear weapons, and he said the entire administration's approach is that America is the problem. He said it's the classic, what Gene Kirkpatrick described as the liberal Democrat view that America is the problem. Blame America first. And they look at everything that happens through this lens. And so they don't really care if the U.S. unilaterally disarms. They think that's a good thing. But they don't understand how deterrence works, and that's really what the problem is.
Well, and it goes beyond just that. You mentioned in your piece that Obama wrote a letter that's still secret in nature to Vladimir Putin that was delivered by White House National Security Advisor Thomas Donilon last month. And that he's made promises apparently or possibly to follow through on that little, hey, tell Vlad I'll have more flexibility after the election, and that deals with missile defense.
Yeah, this is what
it's like a 1-2 punch.
Oh, it's the worst of all possible results. They want to cut missile defense, which can protect you from nuclear attack. It's the whole notion that if you're vulnerable to attack, that somehow enhances the ability to do nuclear arms control. I mean, this is the arms control mentality, but it's crazy. It's totally crazy. And yes, that is going to happen. There are already discussions about making further concessions. They've already made huge concessions. In 2009, the administration canceled a plan to put a long-range missile interceptor site in Poland, and then they said, well, we're going to put these shorter-range SM-3 variants in Poland, and then they canceled that in March when they announced that we were adding interceptors to our sites in Alaska and in California. So it's one concession after another. The thinking is that the administration will totally cave into the Russian demands for legal restrictions on our missile defenses as the first step in opening a next round of nuclear arms talks, which would then seek to bring our warhead count down to 1,000 warheads.
Unbelievable. Mike Rogers, the House chair of the House Armed Services Subcommittee on Strategic Forces, said that he basically that he's not going to allow this to happen. You know, he's not going to allow this to happen on its own, and it's going to need affirmative authorization by Congress. He said this in late April. I mean, again, can the president just do this on his own and get away with it?
It's very difficult for Congress to mandate policies by the executive branch. It's very difficult to do. They can control the purse strings and use funding as a method, but unless you have, an affirmative policy in the administration, it's very difficult. Now, if he's smart and the Republicans are smart, which is not a given on this, they can fashion some legislation that would prevent unilateral cuts or cuts that would undermine deterrence. And that's kind of the hope, from my viewpoint, that people like Mike Rogers, who heads the House Armed Services Subcommittee on Strategic Forces, can actually produce some legislation. And, in fact, they're marking up that legislation tomorrow.
All right, let me ask you one more question, something we always seem to talk about before I let you go, and that is cyber attacks against against the United States. I mean, I've heard reports, and I think we might have talked about this, I'm not sure, that, at one point our whole ability to, our whole NORAD system was down, right? I mean, someone hacked into that, presumably China.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of reports that have just come out in the last couple of days which are fairly alarming. One is that the Chinese military is back in the cyber attack business. No surprise there. I doubt if there ever was any hiatus. The other was a really eye-opening story in the Washington Post, and I tip my hat to the Post for breaking the story that back in 2009, Chinese hackers, when they broke into Google, they got extremely valuable counterintelligence information. What was that information? That information was about FBI requests to Google for Gmail surveillance. In other words, the Chinese learned what Gmail accounts the FBI was looking for Chinese spies. Now, this is a real spy versus spy, counterintelligence, counterintelligence story, but it's extremely damaging in the sense that it will allow the Chinese to know who we suspect is a Chinese spy, and they can use that information to feed disinformation to the FBI, which has been done in the past. This is a huge black eye for the FBI that they allowed Google to be compromised by the Chinese.
I don't know if you see the buying up of ammunition by Homeland Security fitting into this in any way, shape, or form, or if you just think that if it is happening, that it's just kind of a run around the Second Amendment, which there is no prohibition on. But I just can't help but think, now that we know about all these scandals that are just crumbling around this administration. I just have such a fear. We know we've been warned, Bill, by everybody in the defense secretary on up and on down that our power grid is likely to be hit, and we're so vulnerable there. I don't trust anybody. I don't trust our government. Learning what I'm learning now, I don't trust our government, and I don't trust Obama. He knows nothing. He's not involved in anything. If the heat starts to get too hot, who knows? Maybe the power grid goes down one day. And I don't trust China, and I don't trust Russia. I just think we are so vulnerable and in such a crossroads in our nation's history that we're just ready for the picking on so many levels.
I agree completely. These are perilous times, I think, from both external threats as well as internal concerns over the government overreach. And I think we're seeing that in spades with the recent scandals about attacking the press, about using the IRS to go after the Tea Party, and of course there's the Benghazi scandal as well.
And now we find out, according to PJ Media today, that at least two more whistleblowers are going to come forward, and it's not going to be good for Hillary or Obama. They're going to tell the reason why the ambassador was there, and also why help was not sent. So the report says. So it's going to get crazier and crazier, and you could look now, Bill, for you and I to either have our phone records taken or we'll get a call from the IRS pretty soon, I'm sure. Anyway, Bill Gertz, enjoy your upcoming little venture, and thank you so much. Great story at Newsmax, and keep it up, sir. Thank you very much. Take care. Bill Gertz, ladies and gentlemen, senior editor, Washington Free Beacon and Washington Times columnist, and a great story in Newsmax on this whole plan of Obama to unilaterally disarm our strategic warheads down to as few as 1,000. Cut it by a third. All right, we're coming back straight ahead. Steve Malzberg Show. Don't go away.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Attention, if you've been classified as a high-risk
high-risk driver due to DUI, DWI, or tickets for aggressive driving and are required to get expensive and hard-to-find SR22 auto insurance, then you must listen to this message because we can help. We're the largest insurance company in the U.S. specializing in SR22 auto insurance and focused on serving the needs of customers classified by the state as high-risk drivers. We help people get back on their feet by providing easy-to-get, low-cost SR22 insurance that anyone can afford. If you need SR22 auto insurance, or if you have it now and are paying too much, you need to call us today for your free quote at 800-836-4606. Our specialists are standing by waiting for your call. We understand people make mistakes, and we're here to help by making SR22 insurance easy to get and affordable for everyone. The call and quote are free. Call us now at 800-836-4606. That's 800-836-4606. Again, 800-836-4606.
This is a referral service. Calls will be routed to an independent referral insurance agency.
Do you know the #1 cause of bankruptcy? No, it's not losing your job or running up credit card debt. It's not even divorce. It's medical costs. If you and your family don't have health insurance, just one serious illness or accident could be financially devastating. But now there's good news, really good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide health insurance for all Americans, even uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Now anyone can get health insurance even if you have a pre-existing medical condition. I repeat, now anyone can get health insurance coverage. Call now for a free no-obligation quote on affordable health plans available to you. Again, this is a free hotline for anyone, even if you have pre-existing conditions. Protect you and your family from sudden unexpected medical costs.
Call the free health insurance hotline right now at 1-800-910-3470. That's 1-800-910-3470. Call 1-800-910-3470.
Are payday loans ruining your life? If you have 2 or more payday loan cash advances, listen closely. You may be eligible for a program that payday loan companies don't want you to know about.
This program will get payday loan companies out of your bank account and put an end to the payday loan nightmare. Call for free information and find out if Payday Loan Support Center is right for you. Payday loan companies usually trap you into paying rates as high as 700%. We understand payday lenders' tactics. Don't let them take advantage of you anymore. All you need is 2 or more payday loans to qualify. We can help even if you're behind in collections or have bad credit.
Internet payday loans qualify for this program as well. So call 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. The call is free and the consultation is free. Don't miss out. Call for your free information on payday loan relief. 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. Again, 800-250-5084.
If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction to alcohol or drugs, then you must listen to this message because there is hope. No matter what addiction you or your loved one is coping with, you are just one phone call away from real help. Recovery Hotline makes the healing process simple and affordable by matching people to fully certified and experienced inpatient facilities that are right for their personal situations. Call 800-668-1286 now. Don't wait another day. Money does not have to be an issue. Most insurance is accepted. Just call 800-668-1286 today. Recovery Hotline's mission is to help you or someone you love begin the healing process and get back a healthy and sober life. And we can even help with family interventions and travel arrangements. One phone call is all it takes to get back the life you or your loved one deserves. The call is free. The help is real. Call 800-668-1286. That's 800-668-1286. 800-668-1286. Again, 800-668-1286.
This is not your typical Screamfest talk show.
No.
This is the next generation of talk radio. Here is Steve Malzberg.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. You know, we talk about so much, we talked about with Bill Gertz in the preceding segment, our infrastructure, our communications capabilities, the hacking that's gone on with the Chinese government and others into our systems. They've hacked everything they could hack into, and we've been warned by everybody in our governmental chain, from the Secretary of Defense on up and on down, that we're this close. You know, the power grid could go down, this could go down, that could go down. And I take those warnings very, very seriously because I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility at all. And I know that this nation would be paralyzed. And in my gut, I believe that's the reason that Homeland Security, in addition to trying to circumvent the Second Amendment, I believe that's one of the reasons they're buying up all the bullets. I mean, if our power grid went down for any significant length of time, what the heck would we do? But we're not here to talk about the power grid specifically. We're here to talk about really something just as important, and that is our cell phones and our wireless communications. And who owns these companies? And what dangers are present in the foreign ownership of these companies? Well, we already have Verizon Wireless and T-Mobile with foreign governments that have direct stakes in those companies. And now it looks like the Obama administration might be making another leap here by giving Sprint over to a company that has some connections that are at the very best questionable and should raise red flags and have raised red flags. And joining us now to talk about that is a man who wrote a brilliant piece on this whole issue, exposing it, and I think it's something that really needs a lot more sunlight, and we're here to provide the sunshine. And we welcome in Bradley Blakeman. He is a Newsmax insider. Hello, Bradley. How are you, sir?
Hey, Steve. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. I hope I explained it correctly, and I hope I explained some of the concerns. You have much more detail in here, but as I see it, this company called SoftBank, that Japanese conglomerate, which is looking to get control of Sprint, has some connections and history that should really concern us all as Americans.
That's correct. And you correctly point out that the infrastructure of America, whether it be wireless communication infrastructure, which is really the future, there's relatively little hardwired copper line left in our country, as it should be, because the future is digital, the future is wireless. And in order for America to be competitive, we have to go to the new technologies. But having said that, living in a world economy, America has got to realize that our infrastructure is critical to our existence as a nation, our freedom. And if you surrender our critical infrastructure to foreign entities, then we lose control. We lose the ability to be as free as America should be and wants to be, because companies like Huawei and ZTE, which are Chinese equipment providers of infrastructure, to other companies, as you correctly point out, American companies, is dangerous to our national security. And again, you also rightly say that the future threats to America are here, and that is cyber attack. And that is a real nuclear threat of the 21st century. And we better understand in America that the job of government is to prevent harm from happening and not really respond to it when it does happen.
All right. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I didn't know. I thought you were finished. I heard when you took a pregnant pause there. Just want to explain to the folks then why the possible sale and involvement of the SoftBank company with Sprint presents or adds to our security concerns.
Right. Well, SoftBank is a Japanese conglomerate telecom company, and which is pretty much reliant on Chinese infrastructure. So what the Chinese can't do through the front door, they do through the back door. So they partner up with an American ally like Japan, and then they realize the Chinese, they don't have to own American companies. They just have to merely make us reliant upon their infrastructure, because if their infrastructure goes down, if they can control our wireless infrastructure, then they pretty much control American communication. So SoftBank, which is a Chinese company backed up by, a Japanese company backed up by Chinese infrastructure, seeks to control Sprint in a merger, making that the third largest telecom in America, and which is reliant on foreign ownership and foreign control of the infrastructure upon which it works. That doesn't make any sense, especially when the CEO of SoftBank just paid a $1.5 million fine to the U.S. Justice Department because he admitted under his watch in another company of bribing 200 Chinese telecom officials. And in addition, they just issued SoftBank a threat to Wall Street by saying that if anybody in Wall Street contributes in any way to a competitor bidding on this deal, then they will never be considered for a deal by SoftBank or Sprint, which is basically extortion. So you have some really bad actors here.
It certainly sounds that
American
way.
Company.
We're talking to Bradley Blakeman, Republican strategist and Newsmax insider here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Okay, so the chairman of the House Intelligence Committee released a report, and that report spoke to this issue, and they certainly sound like they're echoing your concerns.
They are, but unfortunately, Congress does not approve this merger. The FCC does. And a committee that very few Americans have ever heard of called CFIUS. It's the Committee on Foreign Investment, which takes into account Homeland, CIA, a number of agencies weigh in on this merger. But the ultimate decision is with the Federal Communications Commission. And that's where Congress would really step in as the oversight of our country. That's their constitutional obligation to slow up this deal, especially when such glaring problems are present in this deal, not only with the foreign ownership and control, but also the bad acting on behalf of the people who are going to control this company should the merger go through. So Congress has come up with 5 recommendations, some of which we hope are going to be incorporated in whatever decision the FCC were to make if they approve this. But there needs to be a government in America that prevents bad things from happening and not merely responds to it or over-responds when bad things happen. We cannot have our infrastructure reliant on foreign ownership and control.
Why do you believe, Bradley, that the FCC would approve this?
Well,
I'm sorry, the FCC. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they could approve. Why do I think they'll approve it? Is because
why would they want to approve it? I mean, what's the motivation? If these security flags have been raised, although it is the Obama administration, I understand that. But if these security flags have been raised, and there are other options for Sprint, which I'm sure there are, why would they approve this?
Well, they should not approve it without assurances and conditions. Number one. Number two is they're up against what we call the shot clock. They have 180 days to make a decision. Now, there's a new FCC chair. Now, having said that, they can always stop the clock for reasonable concern. And I think there's enough reasonable concern of late raised on this deal where the new incoming FCC commissioner should say, hey, wait a second. I want to be brought up to speed on this. I want to make sure that I am in total symbiotic relationship with the House and the Senate, relevant committees, also the committee that I mentioned, CFIUS, the Committee on Foreign Investment, to make sure this is in the best interest of America. But right now, they're up against that shot clock. And what I'm afraid of is a deal will be made because the clock runs out and it's the only game in town. And it's not the only game in town. If this deal doesn't go through, there's another suitor for this company, which is Dish.
Dish Network, yeah.
Yeah, and Dish should be given a full and fair opportunity to present their deal to the board of Sprint. And so this clock is really artificial. Although Sprint and SoftBank thinks that it's a hard and fast deadline, it's not. Nor should it be when national interest is concerned. So the FCC doesn't have the same interest or information as our national security people do, and that's why they need to rely on information they ordinarily wouldn't be privy to.
Well, that would be nice, and I would like to say I would like to hold out hope, and I do hold out hope because this is a travesty waiting to happen on top of so many other travesties, and we can't allow it to happen. So without certainly the proper restrictions and concerns being addressed. So I appreciate you, Bradley, writing the piece that appeared on Newsmax and also talking about it. And I should point out to folks, Bradley Blakeman served as deputy assistant to President George W. Bush from 2001 to 2004 and is a professor of politics and public policy at Georgetown University. And you see him on Fox and all that stuff. Not bad, Georgetown.
Yeah, we got some really smart kids.
Yeah, I was going to make a basketball reference or analogy, but I'll let it pass. So really good work on this, and I think this is something that needs to be talked about more, and we're going to try to get some people from that committee who put out these concerns and warnings to address it so that the story, really does get out there and people, raise concern about it.
Great. You're doing good work.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it, Bradley. Thank you. Bradley
Bye-bye.
Blakeman, ladies and gentlemen, on the Steve Malzberg Show. When we come back, like that, see, Charles Schumer, somebody taught him to do that. I just do that naturally. Charles Schumer, when he talks, you ever notice he'll pump his fists like but he can't get it right. It's like, white men can't dance kind of thing. He's like, he doesn't know what he's doing, but he thinks it looks good and makes him look, yeah. Okay, anyway, that's neither here nor there, as they say. When we come back, I do want you to hear the latest travesty of justice involving our service people, our servicemen and women who were hurt, injured, those killed at Fort Hood. And when I let you hear what Major Nadal Hassan is receiving from our government, how much money he has gotten from our government, while our wounded soldiers can't even buy enough food to live on, the ones who were wounded, it's going to make you so mad that I don't care. I want you to open your window and shout, "I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore." Just don't do anything illegal while you do that, all right? Make sure there's no sound ordinances in your town. I don't want to be responsible. But seriously, this is not good. And NBC News in Houston did this story. We're going to bring it to you. Tomorrow we'll have a congressman on to talk about it right here when we come back on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.
Hey guys, do you know your testosterone level? You should. Each year, declining testosterone robs more of your energy, drive, motivation, and even your ability to perform in bed. Take control of your testosterone today. Write this number down because Progene, the leader in dual-action testosterone supplements, is now giving you a free supply if you call today at 800-592-4834. If you'd like to feel closer to 20 than 40 and get back that energy, drive, and confidence, call now to try Progene risk-free. Don't believe us? We'll even prove it works. Ask about our at-home testosterone test kits and see for yourself what Progene can do for you. Be one of the next 100 callers. We'll triple your order and send you a full 1-month supply of Progene for free. A $70 value for only the cost of shipping and handling. Call 800-592-4834 for details. Know your level and kick your drive back into gear with Progene. Call 800-592-4834. That's 800-592-4834. Again, 800-592-4834.
Are payday loans ruining your life? If you have 2 or more payday loan cash advances, listen closely. You may be eligible for a program that payday loan companies don't want you to know about.
This program will get payday loan companies out of your bank account and put an end to the payday loan nightmare. Call for free information and find out if Payday Loan Support Center is right for you. Payday loan companies usually trap you into paying rates as high as 700%. We understand payday lenders' tactics. Don't let them take advantage of you anymore. All you need is 2 or more payday loans to qualify. We can help even if you're behind in collections or have bad credit.
Internet payday loans qualify for this program as well. So call 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. The call is free and the consultation is free. Don't miss out. Call for your free information on payday loan relief. 800-250-5084. That's 800-250-5084. Again, 800-250-5084.
Hi, I'm Joan London, and if you're worried about your parent or a loved one living alone like I was, and you want reliable senior care information, then call A Place for Mom, the nation's largest senior living referral service. You'll get free information on assisted living, Alzheimer's care, nursing homes, even important financial information.
They had obviously researched every place, not just given me names.
Really? Yeah.
They found me a place for what she could afford, and it was magnificent.
We're now very confident that she's safe, and they just helped every step of the way, and I can't thank them enough.
So if you're struggling to find reliable senior living information, call A Place for Mom. This is a free service, and you can trust them to help you.
If you're struggling to find reliable senior living information for your mom or dad, then call or go online to get the free help you need during this turbulent time. Call now, 800-908-1254, 800-908-1254.
In 2013, half of your friends, family, and neighbors may lose their jobs, and you may be forced to watch helplessly as you are robbed of 90% of your life savings, all while your home's value is eradicated. Controversial economist Robert Wiedemer believes we will soon stare down a secret crisis that will rival the Great Depression. It was Wiedemer's 2005 book, America's Bubble Economy, that warned of coming meltdowns in our housing and stock markets. Washington did not heed his call, and folks on Main Street lost $50 trillion from the recession. His New York Times best-selling book, Aftershock, predicted our federal debt and dollar would be the next bubbles to burst. And now Robert Wiedemer has released a startling video with shocking evidence the powers that be have tried to ban. But that hasn't stopped 50 million people from getting the truth. Join us at Aftershock2013.com. Aftershock2013.com.
Hi, this is Mike Reagan. Folks ask me, what would Ronald Reagan do if he were with us today? I believe the first thing he'd do is stop Obamacare. Already it's in effect, with higher taxes, hidden fees, skyrocketing insurance rates, big Medicare cuts, and some insurance plans are hit with a 40% tax. Protect yourself by getting the Obamacare Survival Guide. It's already a #1 New York Times bestseller. Newsmax says it's the best guide to the new law, giving you the strategies, tips, and loopholes you need to know. If you're insured on Medicare, a business owner, a medical professional, just about anyone, you need this book. Get the #1 bestseller, the Obamacare Survival Guide, at bookstores everywhere. Or get our special $4.95 offer and save $15 off the cover price.
Scroll down now to claim your copy of Obamacare Survival Guide for the special internet offer of only $4.95.
Microphones hot. Satellite link established. Studio lights illuminated. Cameras rolling. Audio and video encoders firing ones and zeros. Internet stream is streaming. The most technology advanced radio show is on the air. Here's the captain of this enterprise, Steve Malzberg.
I honestly thought that I was going to die in that building.
November 5th, 2009. Major Nadal Hassan opens fire inside the Army Deployment Center at Fort Hood. 13 dead, 32 wounded.
You know, when I first got shot,
3 of the bullets hit Army Specialist Logan Burnett, a reservist on active duty headed to Iraq.
blood everywhere, and then the thought of, that's my blood everywhere.
Burnett nearly died. He's had more than a dozen surgeries to remove shrapnel and says post-traumatic stress still keeps him up at night. Now he's fighting a new battle against the Army, and he's stunned by something NBC5 Investigates uncovered in this letter from the Department of Defense.
All right, folks, welcome back to the final segment of today's Steve Malzberg Show. That was Scott Friedman reporting from NBC5 Dallas-Fort Worth TV. And what he's talking about, as you're going to hear, are new revelations regarding the Fort Hood shooter, Major Nadal Hassan, who's still awaiting trial, unfortunately, and still getting much money. And you'll hear about that. But he's setting the stage. He's talking to this victim of the massacre at Fort Hood, who survived. Of course, 13 people did not back on November 5th, 2009. Here's cut 23.
Burnett says the shooting was like combat.
You take 3 rounds and you lose 5 good friends, and you watch, 7 other people get killed in front of you. Do you have another term that we can classify that as?
But the Army has not classified Burnett's wounds as combat-related, and the Army has declined to label the incident a terrorist attack, even though FBI reports show Hassan was communicating with a member of al-Qaeda, and the government's National Counterterrorism Center lists the incident as a high-fatality terrorist attack. The Army calls it a case of workplace violence.
Sickens me. Absolutely sickens me. Workplace violence. I don't even know if I have the words to say.
I have the words to say, but I can't say it in front of this microphone. It is as disgusting and despicable. I won't even call it political correctness because it's beyond political correctness. It's a blatant, in-your-face. We will ignore this act of terror, not so that we don't inflame the Arab world or the Muslim world or whatever world they're trying not to inflame. And it's at the expense of men like Mr. Burnett and his comrades who were gunned down on that day, our soldiers. Let's move on now to cut number 24.
Because of that characterization, Burnett and the other victims have not been given combat-related pay, and they're not eligible for Purple Heart retirement and medical benefits given to other soldiers wounded overseas and in the 9/11 attack on the Pentagon. Burnett, his wife Tori, and the families of the other Fort Hood victims miss out on thousands of dollars of additional assistance every year.
They don't need to be treated like this. They don't need to sit and fight every day for this, this benefit or that.
And while the families argue for more help, NBC5 Investigates has learned Major Nadal Hassan has received hundreds of thousands of dollars in military pay since his arrest.
Of course he has. Of course he has, because this government cares more about the terrorists than the victims. This Attorney General always has, in my view. Excuse me. And this president? How could you say any different in this case? How? Let's go to cut number 25.
I want to show you something. This is a letter we received from the Army showing how much Major Hassan has been paid since he was arrested.
There have been times when my wife and I cannot afford groceries. We cannot afford gas in our car. Literally times where we ate nothing but ramen noodles for weeks on end. And this makes me sick to my stomach.
Hassan's total pay since the shooting, more than $278,000. The Defense Department confirmed the numbers in response to an NBC5 Freedom of Information Act request. The Army tells us under the Military Code of Justice they cannot suspend Hassan's pay unless he's proven guilty. But more than 3 years later, he's still awaiting trial.
And I want to get this final cut in before we run out of time. In this report from Scott Friedman, here's 26.
We're giving the defendant, in this case, every benefit of the doubt, but yet we're not giving the benefits to the victims.
Congressman Thomas Rooney is a former prosecutor at Fort Hood. He recently signed a bipartisan letter urging Defense Secretary Chuck Hagel to reclassify the deaths and injuries as combat-related. The letter says the current situation has resulted in an embarrassing lack of care and treatment for the victims and their families.
What happened here is clearly not just workplace violence. What happened here was an attack on our military by a terrorist element, specifically targeting our military, which just so happened to be in the United States of America.
Rooney says he's also willing to consider whether Congress should change the rules so the Army could suspend the pay of soldiers arrested for crimes. If Hassan had been a civilian Defense Department employee, NBC5 has learned the Army could have suspended his pay after just 7 days.
All right, so the people who were shot by this terrorist, who the White House refuses to call a terrorist, they think he's a postal worker gone nuts. Even though he was a jihadist who shouted Allah Akbar when he killed these people and wounded these people. Because of the refusal of this administration to call it what it is, for whatever political sick reasons they have, these people, these victims who were shot by a fellow soldier in a jihadist attack are broke, are scared, are angry, while Major Nadal Hassan, given every benefit of every doubt you could possibly imagine, has collected almost $300,000. You tell me what's wrong with that picture. Tomorrow, Congressman Thomas Rooney of Florida joins us on this show, among others, so I hope you will join us. Jodi Arias spoke out today. I got one word for you. Woohoo! Yeah. We'll let you hear what she had to say as the jury decides her fate. All tomorrow on the Steve Malzberg Show.
The Steve Malzberg Show.